Swear to God.
It's your first Zoom? Bro, it looks like are you live in Abbottabad? What's going on?
Live at where?
I feel like I'm talking to Bin Laden in his lair right now.
Bro, it's funny because my girl was asking me the other day, like, how long did it take you to grow this beard? And I was like, I never even had facial hair till like 3 years ago. Remember in the Marine Corps, I never had to shave and shit.
Yeah.
I never had facial hair. What are you drinking?
The Corona Seltzer.
When are you turning 21?
Yo, first off, it's a rarity that I drink. Second of all, this was bought by my wife for my wife.
Is
And
it?
and I just deboed them shits. She she watched me go downstairs. And she's like, "You have 3?" She's like, "Are you gonna get fucking hammered tonight?" And I'm like,
3 seltzer waters would do it.
I was like, "I already had a half. I already am."
That's what's up.
But what are you drinking on?
Some Chardonnay.
Bougie fuck.
I got into wine lately.
Yeah.
When you turn 30, your stomach turns upside down, and like getting fucked up is like anything with dairy or fucking beer or wheat will fuck up my stomach. So now I just drink wine. I swear to God, I can't have like hard alcohol or beer. It just ruins me, man.
Really? When did that start?
I don't know. That's what happens when you drink a fucking pint of or a gallon of tequila every day in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, in Wilmington.
No, not Wilmington, just in the bricks.
Just in the bricks alone.
It'll be alphas, deltas, blues, and then fucking a tequila bottle.
You know, I people always ask me all the time, like, because they assume that I was in the Marine Corps that I drank a ton, and I didn't. But when I did drink, I went hard. You know?
No, man. Like, it took me a while to realize, like, yeah, I'm drinking way too much after like our second deployment or coming back from Marja that first time. Was like 6 months went by and I kept telling people like I just got back. And I was still celebrating and partying like I just got back. And I was like, I gotta chill, man. It's been a half a year. I was celebrating in fucking February a year later. Like I just got back.
I just got back. Every time you go home, you see somebody new. I just got back, man. Let's go.
That was the hard part though, because like I deployed with you guys with 2-9 when we went to Marja, and then 3-9 took over Southern Marja, and that was my old unit. So when we got back like 3-4 months before they did, and then they got back, and it was like, to me, it was another party, it was another celebration, you know. It lasted like a year of celebrating for me, and I did some damage to myself, man. So I calmed down with the drinking.
Yeah, you did. Where did you? When we got back, wait, did you go on a second deployment?
Not with you guys. I got recruited. I bumped into what was our gunny's name?
Gunny Rust?
Gunny Rush.
Sharp, dude. fuck, bro.
That's exactly how him and Matt Sarn bumped into me at the PX. They were like, Fernandez, what's up, man? You coming back with us to Marja? And I was like, nah, my jersey's up. My Marine Corps uniform's up there in the Raptors, man. Nope, not doing it. I had like 6 months left, or maybe like 4 months left. And he was like, extend. And I was like, I can't do it. He was like, they offered me the world, man. I was almost going to do it. And I think because I didn't extend, he sent me to 8th comm. He won. I should have just gone with you guys. I should have just gone with you, motherfuckers.
I ended up having to extend for that deployment too, man.
I know. I remember you went. I kind of wanted to, though, but, man, that first Marja experience was enough for me, man.
Yeah, it was a wild deployment. The second one was way more chill.
I know, because I saw pictures of you guys, and like you guys had, you know, everything built. I think you had Wi-Fi at that time. By the time you went back,
it wasn't like a public Wi-Fi, but I mean, you could go to the
FaceTiming by using the like.
I saw it live.
Wow! Look at this!
Do you remember that story?
Which one?
The Wag Bag Bandit.
Ooh, they thought it was me for a while.
They thought it was you?
I got blamed for a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff was always blamed on me out there. And I was like, look, guys, I respect the respect level, but whoever the Wag Bag Bandit is, that's a whole other genius. That man still hasn't got caught.
Still hasn't got caught.
Bin Laden got caught. all these terrorists got caught. The wag bag bandit is still out there.
He made out in Marcia. I think that was one of the funniest things of that entire deployment. I went to the chow hall, and they had like this jalapeno ketchup in part of like the MRE or
I think you're the first white boy that never called it jalapeno.
a jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
What were those? The sea rats. It came with like the big sea rats, right? And like it was like all this weird like jalapeno ketchup and that, whatever like that. It was like lemon chicken or something like that, and it was just straight dog shit. And so I was like, well, fuck it, like I'll put this jalapeno ketchup on there. So I did, and I drenched it in there. I ate it. I walked maybe like, I don't know, a tenth of a mile back to the comm tent. I sat down, and everything was just gurgling. And like, you ever had that where like you cringe up into a ball, like, cause you're in such bad abdominal pain. You're like, oh, and you can't move.
Is it tingling on your lower back? Your lower back just rattling, and you're like, I'm not gonna make it.
Time all the time stops. Time freezes, and I'm like,
all you think about is every scoop of whatever you ate. Like, why did I do that one?
I had like a 20-second bout just stuck. Like I was leaning.
Did you set up the bag?
Huh?
Did you set up the bag on time or no?
Oh, no. I didn't even get there yet. So no, this is back at the tent. I got back to the tent. I put my weapon down. I'm sitting down, and then I just get hit with it. I'm like, oh, I can't move for like 30 seconds. And I'm like, fuck, man, like I gotta go bad. So I get up, I grab my weapon. I walked maybe 15 feet. I didn't even get out of the tent. I get to the little tent door, and I get hit with it again, but I'm standing this time. So I'm like, I curl down to a ball, and like Gunny Rush like, sharp, dude. And I was
and you guys were all the way is this the second deployment you went or the first one?
No, this is the first one.
Yeah, so you guys were all the way back there, like on the other side of the fob.
Yeah.
No bathroom.
You're in this story. So
I don't even want to be a part of this story. Oh man.
I get to the tent door, and it hits me again. I'm like, I'm frozen in time. I can't move. I'm solid as a rock. Like I'm stiff. Finally, it lets up again, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. And like I remember like distinctly like picking up my rifle, and I'm like, I put it back down. I was like, fuck this. Like I'm going without it, you know?
Ooh.
So I start walking, and there was probably about like a 50-yard walk, right? Like which is far, right?
When your butt cheeks are like that.
Yeah, and I'm doing the duck walk. Like my feet are all turned outside, you know, to the sides, and I'm like waddling back and forth.
Like a serious question.
What?
That's probably when I came in, like, hey Scott, let me talk to you.
Oh no, you're after it. It's good though. So I get like halfway, and I get hit again, and like it's like, you know, the pain started here, and then it like slowly just got lower, and that's when I was like, it was like a an hourglass, bro. Like as the sand was falling and slowly coming down, like it was about to be time up, you know? So I get over there, and I got the wag bag. So you got to rip open the bag. Then you have another bag, and then you have another bag.
Wag bag should have came with cigarettes, like a Newport.
Yeah, a single, right? A little Lucy.
A little Lucy, and then a lighter, a big lighter.
Some cardboard matches, waterproof matches. So I get over there. I tear open the outer bag, which just holds the contents of the inner bags. There's two other bags in there, and then there's that little powder that you're supposed to put in the bag, the coagulant that like that are in diapers when babies pee in diapers, and it comes.
I've never even heard of that. I never even noticed that thing.
You didn't notice that?
No, you're lucky I used the wag
bag. I mean, I don't think people really use the coagulant stuff, because it was time consuming. It was like an extra step in the process. And like when you got to go, you're not trying to sit on a piece of plywood for.
I had a class for it before we deployed. Like all the classes we went through, all the PowerPoints, I should have had one for wag. Right.
You should have had one for the wag bag. It's an essential item.
So what happened?
So I opened the bag, and then I got to get the other bag, and you have to, like a normal garbage bag, when you go to put a garbage bag in the pail, like you got to get the wind in it, you know what I'm saying, to kind of expand it out. So the thing is, like, as I'm opening the bag, I'm walking and doing this. I'm trying to multitask because I'm doing like the tippy toe, like, oh, you know when your ass knows you got to go, and you're like, oh, like your ass knows you're getting closer and closer, and the closer you get, it's just waiting to go,
What was your McMat belt? Because whatever belt you had, they were a little bit tighter.
I had a rigger's belt.
So it was tight to take off then.
Yeah. It was a process. There was a big D-ring, the whole thing.
I was a tan belt forever.
Were you really?
Yeah, I never did anything.
Ah, man, that's brutal, dude. Gunny Russ was all over me, like, dude.
I know he was so pissed off about
I seen the hands, dude. I know what you can do, dude. Let's go. You want to fuck me up? Let's go.
Oh, man.
So I get the bag open. I'm doing the waddle because I'm trying to get to the little plywood structure, right, that has the big circular hole cut out of it, right? And what happens is the idea is you have to put the bag between the hole, and then you have to take one rock and another rock and place them on the bag so the bag doesn't move when you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get the bag open, and at this point, I'm trying to undo my buckle, but I'm also trying to flap the bag open at the same time. So I'm doing I'm doing one of these deals.
One-handed each. You look like a cowboy.
It's like, yeah.
You look like a cowboy. That's exactly what you look like.
That's right. That was bull riding, bro.
Oh,
so
man.
I get it open. I'm like, I just get everything down. I throw it behind me, and I can't set the bag up. So I just throw it blindly behind me, and I'm doing my thing, and the bag isn't getting any heavier.
Mm-mm. It was just not part of this story. No, I know I'm not. I don't remember this. I do not recall any part of this story.
It's going everywhere, like
No.
all over the floor.
You shat yourself?
No. I was going.
We're not recording, right? I see the little dot, but it's not recording.
It's recording, but we don't have to put this in there.
No, can't start with a shitty story to start.
No. It's an open conversation, so we're letting the ball roll here.
Oh, what a shitty interview.
So I get the bag behind me. I'm taking a shit, and it's going. I'm going through the hole, but there's no bag to catch it. I'm just shitting all over the floor. Right. So. And
you didn't make it to the shitting area.
No. I'm in the shitting area.
Okay. All right, at least you're there.
I'm in there. I'm shitting through the hole in the wood, but it's not actually going in the bag. So I realize this. I'm laughing my ass off because I'm like, oh my God, I'm shitting all over the floor, bro. Like, so I'm dying. I'm literally crying, laughing. Like, I cannot stop. Because I know this is an instant classic. Like, I cannot wait to get back and tell everybody about this.
It's nighttime.
No, it's broad daylight, bro. It's like noon. You know what I'm saying?
So the people brushing their teeth can see you.
It's high noon, bro. And like, if you remember where they were at, like if you were at the COC and you looked out of the COC, what you would see is.
Oh yeah, they built another bathroom in the back of the COC, like towards the fence.
Yeah, towards the HESCO barriers.
I remember. Yeah.
And you could see if there's a bag hanging, so you knew somebody was in there.
Not only could I smell your shit right now, but I could smell the fucking sand and shit. I haven't talked about Afghanistan in a while, dude.
It was good times, bro. It was good times.
No, it was not.
So this is sort of where you come in, right?
I got a story after you. Go ahead.
So I'm dropping heat everywhere, bro. It's like hot liquid Rhea everywhere.
Which is crazy because that shit's supposed to constipate you.
What? Oh, the MREs?
Yeah, everything over there.
Yeah, but it was the jalapeno, bro. It was whatever that fucking shit was, bro. It was brutal. It was devastating. And so I'm shitting all over the floor, and I'm laughing, I'm crying, like. And on top of it, all you get is a piece of MRE fucking paper to wipe your ass with.
Fried chicken wipey that comes in the bag.
That's it.
That's all you get. Yeah.
That's it. It's terrible, bro. It's terrible.
It's literally wag bags for
that's what they put in there. You have a 3x3 square that's like 6-ply. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, our wag bags are gonna come with a whole Bounty fucking paper towel, 2 Newports, and a Gatorade to hydrate yourself after you get flushed.
And one of those fucking mini bar fucking shot of tequila, bro.
You need one. Oh man.
So, anyways, I'm sitting there crying, laughing, and there's no like face covering, right? So, like, if you walked by the front of it, you can see.
I remember.
You just look. You just look. Oh yeah, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
And so I look up.
But you could also see it from the back too. You can see the.
You can see the bag hanging, right?
Bag, if it's hanging.
If it's hanging.
Right.
So. So I'm laughing, bro, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear, "Oh my God, that's some nasty shit."
Who was it, Gunny?
No, dude. It was the air officer. It was Captain, whatever his name was.
Captain Hall.
Captain Hall.
My boy, man. That's my
Bro, so he comes around the corner.
Yeah, I remember him telling me he saw you. He was so disturbed. He was so angry. I think he had just woken up or some shit, and that was like the first thing he saw. That was the thing about like deployment. Your day never starts off as normal as a civilian. You know, like it's always some crazy shit,
bro.
But you want to know something funny? When I think about like when people ask me, like even in the VA, when they're like, "Tell me about your deployment," you know, and you go in and tell me about like, motherfucker, just make sure you write that 100% disability on that shit, all right? Like, tell me about what's the scariest thing you see, like whatever they ask, or anybody, like, have you ever killed any? Every time you get that stupid question, you want to know what's the first image that comes to my head?
What's that?
Well, first, when I compared the two deployments, Iraq was a fucking breeze. Like, but when I went to Iraq with 3-9, we had the Salsa Club, we had Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Burger King.
Where in Iraq was this?
One of the airports.
Okay.
I'd be lying to you if I told you. This shit was a breeze. I was there for like, it was an Air Force deployment. I was there for like 100 days, and they sent us back.
Really?
Yeah, because we took over somebody. We were supposed to go to Marja or Afghanistan a year before. But the battalion that was there in 29 pounds before us failed. I never knew you could fail 29. If I would have known that, I would have failed 29 pounds too. So we took their deployment to Iraq. And it was the best thing that ever happened to us because we would have got fucked up. And a year early in Afghanistan, think about it, a year before we went, we would have been over there with 3-9.
So you're talking like late 2008? You would have been there?
09, because the Yankees won that year. The Yankees won the World Series. The Yankees won the World Series. I won like $2,000 off everybody in the whole playoffs, right? And then Obama decides to send us back, and there's rumors saying we're going back mid-October, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. And I'm winning money at the Chow Hall, betting everybody. I bet guys from Texas, everybody, all the way to the World Series. So we got back. It's game 1 of the World Series, and I go on leave, and I go to Philly, and the only Philly fans I ever knew growing up was like Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World. Like I didn't know about Philly. Like I'm from the Heights. Like that's all I know. So I go to this bar to meet one of my boys from 3-9, and I walk in my Yankee jersey, my fitted, my Timbs, just screaming New York. And this bar, everybody just stops and looks at me, and I was like, "Hey, this ain't Boy Meets World out here." Yeah, that's how I remember it was 09 because the Yankees won the World Series that year.
That's really funny, man.
That's why Obama's one of my favorite presidents for bringing me home to celebrate with the Yankees.
What's that?
I said that's why Obama's one of my favorite presidents for bringing me home to celebrate with the Yankees. but then
they sent your ass back.
Yeah. Well, I decided to leave 3-9 because that shit. I'm not gonna speak bad about 3-9. It's under video surveillance. I don't want to say anything bad. But I was like, look, I'm done. Send me anywhere. I don't care. They were like, you think the grass is greener on the other side? I was like, bro, there ain't no grass here. I want to see grass at least. You know, like this shit is just dirt and gravel. Like I want to see some grass. So they sent me to 2-9, and the crazy thing about 2-9 is like everyone that like you, certain other guys, like for every guy that I fell in love with in 2-9. There's a guy just like you guys in 3-9. That's why it felt like I was a part of that unit so fast in 2-9 because I went with Armando. I don't know if you remember Aguilar.
Yeah, I remember him.
He went first. He went like 2-3 days before me, and he was like, "Man, they were picking on me.
Right?
And I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, really? Like, okay, watch when I get there, right?" And you know who he said was picking on him?
Who?
Wagbag.
Oh, come on, bro.
And that's one of my favorite dudes. I felt me and like this, man. Like that was my guy. And I fell in love with everybody in that unit, and that was home to me, man. To the point that like I never went to visit the 3-9 shop. Really, I was just in 2-9, you know. But my first memory of Afghanistan was us getting there. We flew in. It was like 3 helos that came in that night. It was at night we got there. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
Get there, 3 different birds. Bah, 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 bah. We land. I felt like I was running like this, right? Off the heel. Like, And like I'm the guy that has to land everybody. I have to start learning this shit, right? They're like, Fernandez, you have 1 month to learn how to do what the guy that is gonna get us there. You got to do everything. I'm like, whatever, man.
Fuck.
As long as I can party in the salsa club and I can go to Pizza Hut, I'll be all right. That's what I'm thinking, right? Oh man, we get there and they send us straight to the tent. And I remember walking into the tent after seeing, like, you could see kind of with the moon and how the moon was shining that night. You could see the fob a little bit. You're like, yo, there ain't no Pizza Hut out here. Like,
It's in the middle of nowhere.
it's just middle of nowhere. And like they were saying, I don't know if it was true, but they were saying we were taking fire as soon as we landed. Right? And I walk into the tent, and like I think it was you. Who else was in there? I know Lopez was in there. A bunch of the Arrow guys were in there. Pryor was in there.
Barnett.
It was a bunch of us. And like, dude, you could just see the shockness in all our faces. Right? And I was just like, my heart's pounding on the other side. I'm scared, man. I'm like, I don't know. I'm ready to go home. Like, I might fake an injury right now. You know, like, I'm so scared. Like, this is not like Iraq, you know? And I remember you just whipping out this little diary, and you put your legs up like a little girl writing, and you're like, "Dear diary, today is the last day of." You said some crazy shit, and like it broke the ice for everybody. Everybody put their helmet on. Was like, "Let's go to work," you know. But your humility and like you showing your fear, you know, was that icebreaker for everybody. Well, some people went home, but that's whenever somebody asked me like, "What was Afghanistan like?" I was like, "Dear diary." That's all I ever think about. I swear to God, man. So I got to thank you for that.
Yo, it's so funny. I remember that. Like I actually have pictures of not.
Did you write the diary?
That.
Did you write in it?
No, I think I was just being facetious. But like, I have pictures from that night.
Do you?
But I don't. Yeah, I have pictures. I have pictures from that very first night. But I don't. I have a terrible memory.
I was pale. I'll tell you that for sure.
I remember the next day waking up and I was walking to the chow hall and
got shot at.
Well, yeah, there was that. But then I saw an A-10 gun run come out of an A-10 just drops out of the sky, and I was like, "The fuck."
That adjustment period was weird because was that your first deployment or your second?
No, that was my first.
I think that would have been better if it would have been my first, because thinking about, you know, the Pizza Hut and all the chow hall, that shit was like, it was a setup. It was a setup because everything else was the same from 3-9, 29 Palms training, you know, Mojave Viper, and then deploying. The whole process felt the same until you get there, and that was the eye opener.
Yeah, that was the moment I was like, "Oh shit, this is real." Then someone was like, "Yeah, they just fucking schwacked, you know, like 2 or 3 guys and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Dude, that was like, I don't know, 100, 200 yards out the gate. Like that was like, I was like, that's pretty close to home. I was hoping for a little bit of a bubble, you know."
It was crazy because when I was working as the Arrows RO, I was sending guys home, and I don't know if you remember who went home. I won't say their names, but those are some of the guys that we hung out with and chilled at the smoke pit back on the stateside, and staring at one of your boys, or like you and me looking at each other in the eyes, and you're like, "I gotta go home. I gotta go." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting you your bird, dude, but like, you know, I can never talk to you again." Like,
you lost all credibility, bro.
I can never look at you. You're worse than a rat right now. Like it was one of those embarrassing things that it was tough to see. And then, you know, also other people that made names for themselves out there. It was like, wow, you know.
Well, there was that one guy. I don't even remember his name, but he was on guard force. He was a sergeant, I believe. And like
I was the Arrow guy, so I sent everyone home myself. I saw everyone face to face. I had to send them home.
Supposedly, he picked himself in the Achilles with an axe.
No, that's a made up route. No, nobody was axed up.
Like he swung. Whether he was digging something, whether it was a fiber line or whatever it was, and he supposedly purposely hit himself in the Achilles, fucked himself up to get out of there. Because you remember, the guard force was like, actually, it was a pretty shitty fucking detail.
It was horrible.
It was horrendous. Those guys got ran dry, dude, and they got no anything other than sitting and staring out in space for 6 months, 7 months.
Sleep a little shift that you had to sleep, and then you go right back at it.
That was man, I felt bad. I felt bad for those guys, bro.
Motherfuckers didn't know shit else.
And that was like that was the worst part because like God forbid you fucked up. Guess where you're going?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go. You're going to guard force, bro.
yeah,
Gonna
yeah.
be one with the force.
Yeah, so where's your boy? Is he gonna join us or what?
Oh no. He won't. He's got some class that he's doing. He's on the West Coast.
Yoga?
No, NLP.
Mhm.
Some like
I
it's like
don't get it.
behavior modification, something. It's interesting,
Okay.
but yeah, he's doing that. He just got into real estate like a year ago.
Oh, that's cool then. That's cool. And
So
he's a Marine also?
yeah. He was out in Comm Squadron with me. He's from Brooklyn.
How was
Uh,
that?
Comm Squadron.
No, California.
Oh, Cali was awesome, bro.
I
It was
know.
awesome.
I went after I got out and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, you know what? Because like in Lejeune, excuse me, in Lejeune, you didn't really have
A life.
you didn't have there was no social life, and like when you went down to Wilmington, everyone knew you were a Marine and
Right.
everybody hated you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then if you were trying to get into a bar, you had to be with girls prior.
Or you had to
Before,
have a North Carolina Wilmington address.
right? Yeah, you basically didn't have to. You had to look not like a Marine.
Right.
So you remember that it was just terrible. Even just talking to people like, oh, you're a Marine,
I
you
got
know.
scars. I got scars here. I don't know if you could tell, but my head's lopsided one way from all the
Yeah,
blood.
it's that way.
Is that way?
At least as I'm viewing it. Same with your beard too. It's kind of like,
Nick's the same way because
but you know, San Diego, you actually have a nightlife.
I fell in love and I was like, Dad, I got out like a year too soon, man.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it because of where I'm at right now. But when I got there, I was fucking irate. Like I was like, I made the biggest mistake. I hated the unit. You know, you went from an infantry unit to
Yeah, it was hard.
I never worked with females in the Marine Corps, and like
And
it was
people
like
don't understand the difficulty in that going from 3 to 4 years of infantry battalion to having to respect. And I'm not saying I don't respect women, but to work with a woman and like, oh, she's late because she had to drop off her child. Like, bitch, you know, that's how you felt like. And it's like,
right.
I have to adjust. I'm going home soon. Adjust. Yeah.
And then you end up learning, and like, I mean, I had the first experience I had was like, there was this other, I was a corporal, she was a sergeant, and like I had a dip in my mouth, and so I'm walking through the parking lot in my Alphas with a dip in my mouth, like getting ready to check in, and I got like a big old lipper, like, you know, it's all blown out, and she's sitting in her truck. And as I walk by, she's like, shit bag NCO. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say?
Right.
And she's like, you're not supposed to have a dip in your mouth while walking in uniform. And I'm like,
How'd you get to Cali? You drove out there?
yeah, I drove cross country.
How was that experience?
That was amazing.
Did you see the country before? Like
no, that was my first trip across country. I went down.
Right.
Yeah, it was awesome actually. So I'd bought in this BMW 335i. It was a twin turbo V6.
Oh, you went straight Marine in it.
Yeah, I got off deployment, spent 10 grand. I dropped 10K on a down payment. You know, finance the rest.
Everybody gets the 328.
And oh no, it was a 335i.
Okay.
Don't do me like that, bro. Don't do me like that, bro. Don't do me like that, bro. Dual exhaust, bro. All wheel drive, bro. But yeah, so I ended up taking my brother with me, and we drove. I don't remember the road. You know, because you're in like the fucking logistics business. But like, I started in New York, and then I slowly kind of crept down towards the southern.
I went through Tennessee, West Virginia,
and then hitting Texas. Yeah. And I went that way. I ended up hitting. You ever been to Bryce Canyon?
Bryce, what state, city?
It's in Utah, I believe.
Oh yeah, Utah's my favorite state.
It is.
I don't know if you know that, but Utah is my favorite state.
It's incredible.
Right, I know.
It's beautiful. Like
Zion Mountain, Zion National Park, beautiful. Like Utah is the most beautiful state in America.
And I haven't seen the rest of it.
If anybody go to Salt Lake City, and it's like you're sitting in where Game of Thrones was filmed. Like that is the North.
Really?
Your view is so. One time I was picking up a load, it's called like Thule, Utah. Maybe Tool, Utah. I might be saying it wrong. And they're loading me. I was picking up the purple mattresses, and they were gonna take a while to load me. And usually, what I would do is like get my jump rope out, get my little kettlebell, and like do a little workout. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna go for a run. Like, look at this view. Look at these mountains. And I start running around the facility. It's a huge distribution center. And you know, when I tell you that these horses came out of nowhere, wild horses, and started running with me, like every hair in my body just, it was like a euphoric feeling. I almost cried. It was like so euphoric that I almost started crying. And they just started running with me. And I was like, these are the slowest horses I've ever seen run. You know, but the truth is, like, I was so mesmerized. They were farther. That's why I looked like I was keeping up with them, but they came to run with me, man. They were beautiful. They're beautiful. But I love Utah, man. That's why I was asking, like, what did that trip do to you before you got to California?
It was a good decompression because I had just gotten back from the second deployment.
Right.
And it was a good time for me to reflect on everything that I had done. I'm not like some war dog or anything like that, but you know, like just on everything that happened in that 4-year period where I was at Lejeune with 2-9, like all the different training and experiences.
Or just compress it, and you're doing what? 22 months? No, 28 months of just constant training to go to war.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a long time, man.
Yeah. So, you know, you're driving across country, you're seeing the country, and you have time to reflect. And that's important because a lot of times you just, or at least for me, I don't know about you, but I just go. I'm always just going. Like if you ask my wife, she's just like, you're like insane. Like you just never stop, you know?
I mean, you could tell by your legs.
Huh?
You could just tell by your legs.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a good opportunity to decompress. I didn't really know what was ahead of me as far as Marine Corps wise. You know what I'm saying? So like I had
Pendleton?
Huh?
Did you choose Pendleton?
No, it wasn't Pendleton, it was Miramar.
Oh, Miramar. Did you choose it?
Yeah, because Gunny Palmer was like, oh, dude, go to the wing, man. They go by first names and they, you know, and I was like, yeah, totally. Like, I'm going to do that. And then I got there and it was like, you better stand at parade rest for me. And I'm like, huh? The fuck? You know, it was such a shell shock for like the first 6 months. I was like, this is horrendous. And then I ended up meeting a couple cool people. And then I started really getting into powerlifting because I was obviously always into lifting. And once I sort of found that niche on a competitive level, it gave me like a new purpose. Like, and then everything was about that. And then like, so my network of people started to grow in that realm. And then, you know, people are really drawn to me for some reason.
I told you that.
Yeah, you did tell me that. But
you.
people are like attracted to me. And for whatever it's worth, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but so then I was able to influence people into lifting and training and physical fitness. And then that became sort of like my thing out there. I was all in, you know, and I ended up meeting my wife, and then she was powerlifting and you know, looking back, it was a great experience because like I developed a lot then. I even had my first son out there, and that was an experience.
Gerber baby himself.
What's that?
The Gerber baby.
The Gerber baby himself.
Awesome, man. I remember that. I remember seeing you get into like powerlifting. I saw your Instagram or Facebook at the time, or whatever, and I was like, shit, you're like the old Spice guy out there. You went to Vegas, right? You wore the Speedo and everything?
Yeah, the Speedo. Yeah, you know, I packed a sock down there though. I had to give myself a little bit extra bulge. You know what I'm saying?
Did you really?
No, hell no.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a competitive thing.
I'm sure people have done that. I'm sure it's a thing. You know, they got a millimeter monster and they're trying to pack heat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, keep that shit at your ankles real tight. That little millimeter shooter. That's cool, man. I mean, and working out itself, man. Like I tell people all the time, like getting out the Marine Corps. Well, Eddie was the one that got me, or Lopez was the one that got me into lifting in Afghanistan. He was like, look at these, he was always touching you. Like, look at these flimsy arms. What's that? What's that? It's like,
You'd always do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
yeah. So he was always the lifting, and like I never really lifted. I never really worked out ever in my life. Like, growing up in New York City, like there's no gyms, there's no football team, there's no in public school. Like, you don't have that. You work out there, you play during recess, and you play after school. That's it. So when I joined the Marine Corps, like that was me getting ready mentally and physically. And when in boot camp, they were like, get on the pull-up bar. I was like, pull-up? Like, why do I got to do pull-ups for what? I'm going to be a Marine. Why I got to do pull-ups? I was struggling in boot camp too, man. I couldn't do pull-ups, and it was tough, and I never really got into working out. I mean, I got used to it. Your body adapts. You run the 3 miles. I never ran more than like 2 miles for warm up in basketball practice or baseball. And, baseball, you don't work out.
You don't run for shit. Yeah.
You don't run for shit. You just bullshit. And I was an outfielder, even less.
Yeah. The only people who run in baseball are pitchers.
Right. And they're not even running that much too. They're just running because they don't know how to do the rest of the practice. So baseball everything was a joke. And when I joined the Marine, when we went to our deployment, Lopez was always working out Call of Duty or World of Warcraft and working out. I brought him into the JTAC team, and he got me into working out there for like a month before he was sent to his fob, or a couple weeks before he was sent to his fob. He was telling me, like, don't listen to anybody. Like, don't be intimidated. We had like a little bullshit gym. You remember?
Yeah.
That's actually a really nice gym compared to what other people had. Like, that gym was pretty nice.
Yeah, Captain Craig Home got shot in that gym.
No, he got shot in the tent next to me.
Wasn't it right next to the gym?
No, right next to our tents were right next to each other. And I'll tell you that story. I had just laid down. So you know how they had the little light bulbs going around the tent? I don't know. They
yeah. I know what you mean.
Some shit. And I would only get some sleep during the day because Captain Hall would sleep at night. So whenever he wasn't needed, or whenever I wasn't needed, I would just, get some rest real quick in the middle of the day. But people were always coming in and turning on the tents. So I would come in every day. Like, every time there was a light bulb in there, plap, plap, and I'll break the light bulbs, all of them. So so our tent was dark. There was no lights in there. I don't think anybody even knew who was breaking all the lights. That's why I was always blamed for everything, because they knew it was me. And I'm there, and I'm yelling at everybody, turn on the fucking light. I swear to God, don't fucking turn on the light. And I had just laid my head back, and all you hear is, and I look up, I was like, you motherfuckers don't let anyone sleep.
Like they're kids.
Right, like kids. And I had this light beaming right on my chest. A light, just a straight light. And they're like, yo, Fern, are you okay? I'm like, what do you mean am I okay? Like, I'll be okay if you let me sleep. And I'm pissed off. And all you hear is everyone rushing outside. And I'm just naked, in my boxers, just trying to get some sleep. And I walk outside, and he had the round right in his thigh, just sitting in there. And
he was walking around like a champion too.
Yeah, and I was like, "You want to call a bird?" And he was like, "What?"
He's like, "No, I'm good." He went and cleaned his desk. He was like, "I gotta go clean my desk," and then Master Guns.
They shut down the comm lines and everything. He was like, "Fern, get me a phone so we can open up the lines. I'll call my family right now." He still had the bullet in him. And he called his wife or whoever it was, and he was like, "I'm good. And I was like, "Thank God, I can make a phone call later."
No, River City. He's a hard dude, man. Like he's no joke.
That man changed my life. He gave me a book to read when I was out there. Changed my whole life.
Really, because I had a really awesome experience with him as well. But I want to hear about yours first.
I was brainwashed. That Marine Corps brainwash, kill and destroy. Pulled me to the side, gave me a book to read, and
what was the book?
I don't remember the name of it. It was Anthony. He told me, he was like, "Fern, you got some issues, dude." Like, he told me, we used to smoke a cigar. He used to smoke a cigar every once in a while at night, like right before they would call it a night and stuff. And I was always hanging out with Captain Hall, and I was, they gave me a cigar, and I'm chilling with the captains, like whatever. He told me, "Bro, you got issues." He's like, "You taking this shit way too serious," and to have an officer talk to you like that is like, you're supposed to be the most, brainwashed motherfuckers of all.
Yeah.
They told me, like, you can't put this on the videos or anything. They told me, like, nah, man, this is a job. Don't fall for it. don't fall for it. This is a job. And Captain Hall told me, if I could, I'll go home after my enlistment. If I was you, I'll go ahead and get out and go to school, live life. I was like, what?
What?
What? I mean, I'm, what, 21, 22, barely? You know, so you're young. And they gave me one of the ROs that was in the JTAC team was there too, and he gave me a book to read. And it was just, it's basically, like, to sum it up, it's a book on perspective. It was a story of a Iraqi kid that was going to school when 9/11 popped off. He gets sucked into joining the Taliban, and he never wanted nothing to do with it, you know. And like his buddy, like kind of like, you know, the story of the inner city or any city that a good kid gets pulled into the wrong side with the wrong crowd. But at that time, that moment in life, that's called the Taliban, son, and you're dealing against, you know, the United States. And unfortunately, that kid got pulled to that side. And I got this tat on my chest that I read in that book. And one of the saying was, the saying that I tatted on myself was, if you seek peace, prepare for war. And that shit opened up my eyes. And it was basically an innocent kid that you actually cheer for throughout the book. And then he joins the Taliban. And then you hear his perspective on what we're doing to his family, his town, his everything. He was still ready to die, ride or die. And, I don't know what just happened. Oh, my email. So when I read that book, I also saw a documentary like a couple months after that, once we got back. And it was some Vietnam veterans and World War II, Tom Hanks documentary. And they were talking about how much they respected their enemy for standing up and fighting against them. And if you can respect your enemy, then you understand what it is to go to war. And that's what that book did to me, because I got the same tat, and I changed it. Is if you seek love, prepare for war. And I think it was like mid-deployment that I was just like, these are human beings out here. I can't be a part of this anymore. And they changed everything for me. That's why I knew I was done with the Marine Corps.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a good book. I wish I could remember. If you get in touch with him, I'm sure
and it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it's based on a true story, man. It's crazy.
Well, what was the outcome? Did he end up parting ways with the Taliban?
No, I think he died. He died at war, or his best friend died at war, and he left to some other country to escape or some shit, because he never wanted to be a part of it, and it was just die this way or die that way. So he had to. It's in too deep. It's Macaw Fife, you know. There's movie made in 5 different versions of the same story, you know. And when you see it in that perspective, you don't understand it unless you take the moment and time to understand it. And then after that, like once I started going out on patrols and like looking at everybody in the eyes as equals, I was like, that guy looks like my cousin. That guy looks like my cousin. Like that one. You know, like, and that's why when people say like, yo, you look like a Taliban, you look like this, you're like, yeah, because they're people, man. They're just people at the end of the day, and like they could be us. So it was a very eye-opening experience. And that's why when Gunny and Master were like, come, like we need you, you'll be in charge, and you'll run this, and we'll promote you. They offered me everything, and I was like, can't do it. My mind wasn't there, you know. It was like an athlete. Like I don't have the passion for it anymore. I'm done. I'm retired.
What'd you end up doing when you got out?
Well, I had the issue of going to ITCOM for a couple months.
Yeah. How much time did you spend there?
Like 4 or 5 months. And because I didn't have I only had my tan belt, the day I checked in, some gunny, I had the French Fourragère because I deployed with 2-9 and 3-9, which is 2 infantry battalions. So I rated it for life. He was like, what is that? That's the Army stuff. And I was like, Gunny, I got more stacks than you, so don't even talk. And he wanted to go at it with me. So, you know how we come. If Gunny would have called you out, he'd bring out the mat.
Oh, yeah. Gunny Rush, definitely.
Right. So this Gunny came at me with like, what'd you say to me, Marine? You want to take this out back? I took my alphas off. I was like, oh, I got you. If you would have seen the Gunny I just came from, I got your ass. Like, I know you haven't ran 3 miles or a mile in a while. I got your ass. Like, this is going to be easy. So he was always looking to pick on me. He actually said, I wish I could remember his name, because he said, if you don't have a B billet under your belt, you're not a true Marine. I don't care how many deployments you have under your belt. I said, oh, I'm in Pogue Central. Like, that's when I realized I'm in Pogue Central. 8th Com was a different Pogue Central. So I was outcasted in that unit. And when I showed up to work, like a couple weeks later, they saw that I had a tan belt. And they thought it was I thought it was a punishment too. They're like, you're going to McMap training. You would have loved McMap training. It was right across the street from our 2-9 shop. You guys were already gone though. Right across the street from our 2-9 shop, and dude, they had the octagon, they had the cage, they had everything.
Was it the wrestling room?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd never been to I went to the McMat training area. They had the dummies, they had the bags, they had guys that all we did 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. We fucking grappled and wrestled and did McMat. And it was the best time of my life, really. Like, I enjoyed it, man, because that was another chess game that I learned. I was into boxing a lot. I joined the Marine Corps boxing team right before we went to Iraq. I got sent to our unit because I never had a deployment. So then 2 deployments later, they sent me to McMap. I never grappled in my life. Like, you know, wrestling in New York City, in the city is like, those are for homos. You know, I was never into wrestling, you know, and like you go to the ground, they pick you up, all right, they let you go at it again. And it's always stand up. So I never knew how to grapple in the Marine Corps until like my last year. And all we did for like 5 months was just straight McMap. And I was into lifting because Lopez got me into lifting. And I was in shape. I was in the best shape of my life. And I was like, I can fuck up anybody. And I couldn't. When it came to grappling, it's a whole different game, man. And I would just wear myself out, and to the point that you're just drenched. Yeah. I loved it. I loved getting my ass kicked every day. Like, I just went back and I would just learn. And I learned how to shrimp. I learned how to do other maneuvers, you know, and I was just like, I love this shit. And then once you realize, I don't care how big you are, if I get you on the ground, I'm going to make you my bitch.
It's a neutralizer.
And it is. Knowing how to get on the ground and your ground game, I think stand-up is if you don't know what you're doing, you have a better chance of winning a stand-up game than you do a ground game.
Yeah. With someone who knows what they're doing on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, if you know what someone is doing on the ground, you're done, bro. You're fucking done. And it was so much fun. So then I got out, and I ended up going – I was going to go to NYU or St. John's. That was my goal, to go to NYU or St. John's, and I wanted to be a sports agent. And then my uncle got locked up, and I decided he got locked up, and he got sent. He was going to go to Miami because that's where he was from, or he was living at the time with his family. I decided I'm going to go take care of his family for my uncle. And I went down to Miami, and I went to college. I told you the story that, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to. It was like going to the Pogue unit. Like,
it's like going to the Pogue unit.
And like my first month of college, I was like, "Are you serious? This is really happening right now?" I didn't like it at all.
Where were you at? Broward?
First, I was at Dade. I was in Dade, South Wolfson campus in downtown Miami, and I was going to take Dade classes because I needed to transfer to UM. And I think I had gotten there during spring break, so I had missed that enrollment. So I would have had to wait like 5 months to start school. And I was like, well, I need money.
Well,
I got to start class like now. So I started taking like the basic classes at Dade.
Where's the Wilson campus?
Now? You want to start this right now?
Huh?
We're going to start it just like this?
We can start whatever you want, bro.
All right. I'm going to edit the magic there.
Bumblebee tuna. All right, you ready?
Hold on.
Let's start it just like this. All right, guys. Oh, by the way, we're just gonna do this as a. You want to do the business piece?
Whatever you want to do, you let me know where you want to take it from.
Okay. 21:45. Let's roll. Hey guys, what's going on? Scott from the Veteran Entrepreneur Podcast. Today I got my buddy and good friend and fellow Marine, Stephan Fernandez. We got disconnected for a few years. We served together in 2-9. And recently he randomly reached out to me after, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. But I'm glad to be connected again. And he's also a veteran entrepreneur, and in a field that I never would have guessed that he would have went down. But not only did he go down it, but he's kicking some serious ass in it, and he's definitely going to be a name to look out for. And for all you guys that are listening, we're working on something. We're working to bring you guys something of value to provide some sort of opportunity for you guys within the realm of what he's doing in the logistics community. So it's a pleasure to have him on. We're super pumped. And dude, it's so good to have you on here. Also, side note, this guy's funny as fuck. So stand by. But hey, what's up, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and just tell us like a brief background of sort of what you did in the military, and you can kind of go into a little bit of your transition, and we'll roll from there.
Sounds good. I appreciate being on, Scott. It's an honor, and I'm glad that I actually reached out to you because we did lose touch for a while, and it was because of the journey that I took upon myself 5 years ago. It was a scary journey, like you said. Like you wouldn't think that I would decide to get into something like that, and my Marine Corps passed, and kind of everything pushed me towards that general direction, and I just decided to reach out to you that day. It was about 3 weeks ago.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, who are some guys that I can rely on and call? And I reached out to a couple guys, and the reason why you lose touch with guys in the Marine Corps is like, numbers, or people don't, have social media. And that was one thing I got off of social media a while ago. But I was just trying to find guys that had the same mindset as me. And I just got your number and I hit you up, and it was that instant connection, and it was like, we have to talk. And when you told me what you were doing, I got so hooked, and I think I saw all your videos. How many likes you got from me?
At least 15, 16, I would say.
Right? I was hooked, man. I was hooked, and I was just like, man, I always wanted to do this. I was doing comedy for a while before I hit the road, and it was fun. I liked it and I didn't like it. But it wasn't what I was really passionate about. It was something I wanted to do, but I wasn't passionate about. And when I was talking to you about, everything that I went through, it was just so much fun talking to you about it. And I told you, you have that character persona that people just want to talk to you and be around you. So I'm glad to be a part of the show. I'm glad to be a part of your podcast. And I look forward to, being on whenever you want me to, or whenever you need me, man. But about what I did in the Marine Corps, to be honest, I did nothing. No, I'm joking. I started off in 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, and it was a new battalion. I think 2-9 was a new battalion around the same time also, right? You guys had just stood up?
I missed when they stood up. I think they stood up in 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I think 3-9 was around this. No.
Maybe 07.
Yeah, it was like 07, 08. I remember we were one of the top, first 50 guys coming out of, our entire comm school out of 29 Palms went to Lejeune.
Oh, the entire class did?
It was like 6 guys that didn't go, and it was like, suck to be you guys, and they went on to do other things and great things, but it was cool going from comm school, about 50 of us deep, to the same unit. And it built a brotherhood like no other. And I didn't think that I would ever have a unit like that, or be in a bond like I was with the guys in 3-9. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, when you think about a certain unit, or you think about your time in the Marine Corps, there's certain faces that flash in front of your eyes, and you think about that person. And somebody that's been in multiple units, like I have, you have also, there's a lot of names that go out there, some still with us, some not, but those that you think about that make you as the Marine are always the ones that keep you going, every day, even when you're out. I did my first deployment with 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, and I told you it was in Iraq, and there was a salsa club and Pizza Hut and Burger King, and I was like, man, this Call of Duty got it wrong out here, you know. This is easy out here. And I'll call home. I'm like, Mom, don't feel bad for me. It's okay. It's okay. And when we got back from 3-9 molded me to be the Marine that I was. So when we got back, I didn't want to be in that unit anymore. I wasn't, happy with how things were being ran. We had our officers switched around on us. It wasn't the same unit. It was our first time transitioning, new command. And I was like, this ain't it. So I found out that I could transfer. I was like, I'm about it. I told them, send me anywhere. And the way that the Marine Corps works is that, if the green weenie's gonna get you, they're gonna try their best to get you. And
oh yeah.
And they sent me right across the street. The 2nd Battalion, 9th Marine. It sounded the same. And I was like, oh man, I was so upset that I let the Marine Corps trick me again and send me right across the street. It was like the same type of story. You guys had just gotten back from Iraq. I think, yeah, a couple months that unit had just gotten back from Iraq. And I get there, and it was an instant fit. It was, if you were to, put it in a sports term, it was like that one season that team gets together and wins a championship. It felt like that. As soon as I got there, I was like, okay, I got this guy over here. I got this guy over here. Like, yeah, we're good. We got a squad. Like, I could take on the other unit I just came from. And that was the tightest unit I had ever seen, But my unit, 3-9 was falling apart when I left. And when I came to 2-9, it was a solid unit that was building a structure to go on this new deployment to southern Afghanistan. And I was like, man, trust me, guys, like, deployments are easy. It's Pizza Hut, it's salsa night. It ain't that bad. You and I were just talking about that,
Yeah, I think the experiences vary, right? And the same thing for leadership. I mean, I don't think without certain key leaders like Gunny Rust and Gunny Palmer. I don't know if he was he on that deployment?
Yeah, Gunny was there.
Gunny Palmer.
Gunny Rust voiced one time for us.
Shop, dude. Shop, dude. Shop, burr. Shop, burr.
I got a funny story about Gunny.
A recent one?
No. When I first checked in.
Oh, do tell.
So Aguilar checked in before me, and I was already in the Marine Corps 2 years, so I'm halfway out. Like, I got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and I already know fake the funk, don't know anything, don't volunteer for anything, don't raise your hand. If somebody says get up, you shuffle your feet 10 times, and somebody else will get picked.
Yeah.
So like Gunny was like, "Hey Fernandez, what do you know? What they teach you over there?" I was like, "What they teach me? Huh?"
Huh?
Mind you, I'm the radio operator for the Arrow in 3-9. I wasn't the greatest guy out there, but they have faith in me, and they want me to be the right-hand man for our air officer in Iraq, land all our supplies, do all our airstrikes. I don't think we did that many airstrikes, if any, out there. If anything, it was just like training. It wasn't nothing like Afghanistan. So when I went to 2-9, Gunny's like, "What do you know?" I was like, "I don't know. What do you want from me?" I was trying to act as dumb as possible. And you guys were also like motivated. Everybody wanted to be that Marine out there. And I was like, fucking suckers. These suckers have no idea what they're doing. And like one day, it was like a month in, maybe 2 months in. Now I hear, Fernandez! And I'm like, how the hell does anybody know my name here? I only been here 30 minutes. And it's Gunny and Master Sergeant and Sergeant Barnett in the office. They're all sitting there. Close the door, Fernandez. It was like the most mafioso gangster way of like yelling at somebody. Close the door, Fernandez. Close that door. Mind you, the roof is open, so everybody can hear everything. So I'm like, close the door is stupid. They just want
no privacy here.
They're gonna embarrass me just so everybody can hear it. And they're like, and this is when I knew I was caught. Gunny was like, so tell me again, what'd you do in 3-9? I didn't do much. I was like, I didn't do much over there, And he was like, much, Fernandez. I got Captain Weinman at the time. I have Captain Weinman calling up Captain Hall over here in 29, telling me blah 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 blah. You did blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, that's me. You got me. You know.
We want me too.
At that moment, he wanted me to be like that calm guy, and I did know my calm shit, but I just didn't want to confess to it. And he put me in JTAC, and from JTAC I got sent up with the arrows, and I took Lopez with me, and Bobby Boucher I took with me.
Bobby, he's still in, by the way.
I know dude. Bobby was gonna be in from the first day he signed that paper. They could have given him all 20 years. He would have signed it right then and there. That's a Marine. And I was like, who do I need here? I was like, I need a guy with the big forehead that looks just like me. So when they're on night shift, they think it's me. All right, that was my decoy. And I need that guy because that guy's a serious Marine. And I knew it, man. And we went out there as JTAC and we trained with JTAC. And once we got to Afghanistan, it was a different story. Things changed.
Yeah, it was a good team because the leadership was excellent. I mean, working for Gunny Rust was actually it was a dream come true, because he was even though he was here, he always came down to here, right? Like he leveled. He was
everyone at the equal level.
He was such a bro. And like he knew his shit so well, and the only thing he cared about was that you were fully functional and operational in what it is that you were doing.
Right.
That was the merit of which he sort of based everything on. Right. And if you couldn't cut it, I mean, fuck you. Basically, that's how he was. It's like I don't have any time for you. Like,
right.
And I'll teach you if you want, but if you're not willing to put in the work, I'm not here to waste my time. Like, and he was so prideful on making the best comm platoon he could. I don't know if you remember that, but he was gung-ho. I mean, we were doing like all sorts of ridiculous training that I don't think any comm shop ever did. Like,
no, I'm telling you, 3-9, that was our punishment. Like on a Monday morning, get the whatever and just start training. And it's like, everyone's coming back from chow right now. We're building a fucking comm shop right now outside. And it was one of those units but we took it as haze, and we thought that like no one cared about us. And one of my closest leaders in 3-9, Kevin Balder, Sergeant Balder, rest in peace. He took the time out. He was just like any gunny you could think of, man, that wanted you to be the best. And he actually was an enlisted sergeant, got out and came back in, and from Tennessee, man. Blue collar dude, he just taught us everything, and 3-9 became that unit. I told you earlier that we did so well in 29 Palms on our training for our first deployment. We were supposed to go to Iraq and Afghanistan for a whole year deployment, and because the unit ahead of us, the training was doing so bad, we ended up taking their deployment, and they stayed training longer, and we got sent out.
That sucks.
We were that on point that we took another unit's deployment. And believe it or not, I believe the unit that we took their deployment, was the unit that we took over in Afghanistan.
3-6?
Was it 3-6? Yeah, no. Wasn't it 2-8?
3-6 is who we relieved in Afghanistan.
The first time you went?
Yeah, 3-6 and 1-6 did the push.
Well, I saw a couple of the guys in that unit, and they were giving me the shady eyes. I know your ass. I know comm's bad around here.
I know comm's bad around here.
I met some good guys in that unit as well, too, though.
Oh yeah, they were pretty squared away. I remember doing the rip with them, and like they were locked on. They were super helpful.
One of the guys that was working the LZ outside of our fob, he had a rice cooker. He was leaving like that next week, and he was like, "Hey, Fernandez, you want this rice cooker?" And we were literally there for what, a week or so, and they were getting ready to go. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take the rice cooker." And I never even thought how valuable a rice cooker would be out there.
Yeah, anything with food would have been valuable out there. I remember eating those fucking I call them a fucking burrito, but they were the kebabs. They came wrapped in like the local newspapers.
You could taste You could taste the residue of the civilians out. Those shits had COVID
Oh,
before COVID.
bro. Bro, I remember biting into one of those things and getting like a piece of fat like this, bro. I was like,
So much seasoning.
oh, dude, it was disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
But if you could get around all the, like, because it was a lot of it was lamb, and lamb is like super
I never
fatty.
saw one lamb out there.
Dude, I went through
All
one of the,
the
I know, I went through one of the bazaars, bro, and like I'm like seeing like this fucking lamb hanging and dripping blood, and there's just flies covered this thing, and I was like, ew. And the colonel's like, don't worry. You know, once we go sit down in this shore, he's like, you can have some of that. And I was like,
yeah.
nah, bro.
Man, when I tell you, when I got that rice cooker, I became Forrest Gump of Marja. I was like, I made ketchup and rice, soy sauce and rice and vinegar, rice and water, rice and mustard. Like, I was just rice for I just ate rice forever, dude.
Oh my God.
It was game changing. So I gotta thank those guys. I don't remember their names, but they definitely know who they are. They saved my life out there. I would have came back at 105. I was so skinny coming back.
Yeah, those sea rations were no joke, man. The only thing that was legit was that buffalo chicken sea rat. That shit was legit.
And the most disrespectful about that 2-9 chow hall that they had out there was their sign outside. 2-9, where chow is morale.
It's like, fuck you, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
There's lies out here. But yeah, man. So I came back from 2-9 and I was done. I had a couple months left. Went to 8th Com, and I was checked out, man. I was checked out. You couldn't pay me to be a Marine anymore, and I faked the funk a little bit longer. Mind you, I was meritoriously promoted my first couple of years, my since the beginning of the Marine Corps, from boot camp. So I got to 2-9. You know, that's why I was a tan belt forever. I didn't need to do any of the training. I was just meritoriously promoted, and I was done, man. I gave so much to Marine Corps. I was just waiting to get out, and 3-9 was deployed at the time, and I think I told you that I was always drinking, always celebrating, and telling everybody, we just got back. And one of the moments that switched that for me and changed my life was the same time I decided to go, I made my decision to move to South Florida and go to school out there once I got out, was because my uncle had just got incarcerated for his own decisions. And I decided to go take care of his family out there. And also that was the time that the same week or same month that Kevin Baldiff, Sergeant Baldiff, got killed with 8th Com while he was deployed out there. And that blew my mind that I kept thinking about me being home, us being home. We made it. We're good. We're in the clear. And I wasn't even taking consideration to none of my 3-9 brothers or none of my guys that I knew out in country. And not that I didn't care about them, but I was being so selfish at the time about making it home, because you and I both know how scary that deployment was, that that's when I realized, okay, the world's bigger than just me. And not to just, anybody could realize that in any moment, but to always think about steps ahead and, where you're going to go from this point on, and always be ready to pivot and find a new solution. And life's not always going to go as planned. Was when I was celebrating in 8th Com and Sergeant Baldiff died. And that changed my life forever. And I was just on this, I got to get my career straight. I got to get everything situated. I went to Miami, and I ended up going to school for air traffic control. And I told you that story.
Yeah, which is sort of right in line with what you were doing in the Marine Corps in a combat theater, right?
Right. Except we weren't getting shot at, or none of the American Airlines planes were dropping GBUs on anybody. It was just Joe dirt bombs left and right.
So once you got into school, you only stayed for what, a year, 2 years in school? Or was it even that long?
No. I was in. So when I signed up for the air traffic control program in Miami-Dade, they had offered air traffic control as a sub-minor, and then you had to select a major with the aviation program. I was like, all right, whatever I have to do to take this air traffic control program, you guys let me know. There's aviation mechanics, And me, I couldn't even restart an iPhone. To this day, I can't. I can't even help you out. You have iPhone issues, like you're on your own, buddy. So I knew mechanic wasn't for me. And the guy in Miami-Dade told me, the other option we have is aviation piloting, right? He called it aviation. They called it aviation science and piloting. I'm like, all right, well, what does that consist of? Fly. You want me to fly? Yeah,
You want me to fly?
Yeah, you just get your pilot license and you
fuck?
fly. So you want me to go to school and fly, and you're gonna pay me for this? And it was right there written in stone. And next day I was in a flight. Like a week later, I was in a flight class. My instructor right next to me, he's like, "You done this before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got this." And we almost died that day. We almost died, and I had the plane just doing hydraulic jumps throughout the whole runway, and it was the beginning of a new era for me in the aviation industry. I never working in Afghanistan in the ground unit and calling in airstrikes and calling in medevacs and calling resupply. I never flew. The only time we flew was when we were leaving and coming to Afghanistan. So when I had to fly the plane myself, when I tell you that was a euphoric feeling, it was like, no, I still miss it to this day. I miss flying.
Let me ask you a question. What was it like? I mean, did you do a takeoff?
Yeah. Like at first, like I was just, being that stubborn Marine, like I got it. It's not that hard. If you could do it, I could do it. And I pulled the yoke and I lifted the nose up, and you hear the stalling system going off. And we came back down. My head hit the yoke, and I was like, "This is flying. This is awesome! Like this is what I was made for." And my instructor yelled at me for about 5 minutes. We went back around the runway. He took us off, and once I was in the air, it was so simple, man. And that's when I gained the respect for huge machinery and not treating it like huge machinery, which later on helped me out once I got into the logistics industry and trucking, because it's so intimidating to see this plane, this aircraft, and the same way you see a truck, like, man, I can't do that. There's no way I could drive it. I could drive a semi. Look at the size of that thing. It's the same way with a plane. But once you realize the bigger the machinery, the easier and more sensitive it is to control, it was just a cakewalk to transition from aviation to logistics and trucking. That it was a breeze. And I flew for 3 years. I got my PPL. I was in my last semester for my air traffic control program, and the FAA had decided in 2015 that they weren't taking graduates from the program anymore, that it was just more of an open hire. So anyone without a degree or anything could just apply to be an air traffic controller. So the recruiting class went from 1,000 a year to 100,000. They were just taking, applicants' names, and it wasn't just applicants and resumes, which would have been beneficial for a guy like me with the military background. It was just put your name in the hat, put your email, and we'll get back to you.
Based on what merit? Like, so if you have a guy, yeah, but if you have a guy that has a degree in air traffic control versus some other guy that's not, they still have to provide them some sort of training, right? Like,
once you get selected, it was like a 3-course process, but it was randomly selected, and you had to answer a questionnaire. And if you passed phase 1, you would go to phase 2, and you only knew you went to phase 2 if you got the phase 2 email. If you didn't get it, you have to wait till next year and apply again. And I wasn't going to wait around. Excuse me. I wasn't going to wait around. And when I was down there in Florida, my uncle, who was incarcerated, I would visit him every like Wednesday, and every weekend I would go visit him. He was always saying, "I'm gonna get my life together. I'm gonna get into trucking. I'm gonna get into trucking. I'm gonna get into trucking." He was just,
okay.
Yap. And I would go visit him to bring my little cousin, his son, to go visit him. And while he's playing with his son, he's talking to me about trucking. I'm like, dude, I really don't care about this trucking shit. It wasn't connect. Like, to me, it wasn't connecting. So at the same time, I'm going to school and bartending in Miami, and a lot of people in Miami are moving to Denver at around the same time, 2014, 2015, chasing this whole cannabis industry. And I I was like, man, I wish I knew about weed, but I haven't. I've been in the Marine Corps so long that I haven't even smoked a joint, so I can't even get into that lingo with people about cannabis. So when the whole FAA thing happened my last semester, I got 3 months left of school, and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do after this? I'm still going to class because I gotta graduate, right?
Right.
And it just hit me. I was like, why don't I take my Marine Corps background, air traffic control background, and eventually, once everybody that's settling west and going on this hiatus run to Denver, and it felt like the Yukon Trail. Like people were like, I'm going to Denver, like all right, like good for you,
Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, it was like a lot of people going out west, man, and it was pretty cool. Like I thought it was pretty interesting, man, is seeing so many people, chasing their dreams.
Uproot and go.
Right. I was like, I can't do that. I don't know anything about a bud or an ounce and a gram and none of that stuff. And then it hit me one day. I was like, well, I could learn how to drive a truck and I could be the logistical guy. So that's what really got me into trucking was I knew that there'll be a new market in logistics someday. And that was 2015. I said, if I get on the road today, then I have to get ready. And I thought, and I still said it, even when the pandemic happened, I said, I think for some reason, history is going to repeat itself. Prohibition happened in around the early 1900s, and the legalization of alcohol happened around the 30s. I was like, but for some reason, I thought 2020 is the year that everything's going to get legalized. And I said, all right, I leave now, 2015. I can have my company running by next year, 2016. By 2017, I'll have 5 trucks. By 2018, I'll have 10 trucks. When you're setting a business as an entrepreneur, everything goes perfect. Everything goes perfect. So I was like, there's going to be no hiccups. There's going to be no bumps. 5 + 5 = 10, and that's it. And that's how it works, right? Am I lying? And
that's it. I just did it the other day. I was like, yeah, I was setting out goals, and I was like, and I did something similar to that, and I was like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, this isn't going to happen. But it is good to have those goals anyway. Like, right. I definitely encourage that type of thinking because if you set small goals, you don't know if you're missing the mark. You know what I'm saying? Like, you set a goal that's easily attained, then it's like, well, what if I pushed for 5 instead of 3? Like, maybe I would have gotten 4. Maybe I would have gotten 5. Like, so you do have to stretch, and I think that is important. And you shouldn't limit yourself as far as your goal setting, I think.
And I did have that mindset set up, but not that I set myself up for failure, but after the Marine Corps, and this is 4 years after me getting out of the Marine Corps. So my uncle did 4 years, and he was out already by the time I decided to go forward with this decision. And I realized how short time really was. Like when you enlist in 2000, and when did you join? 8, 9? 8, right?
8, yeah.
I joined in 7, and you sign those papers, and it says EAS date 2011 or 2010, 2012. You're like, that's never gonna come. As a kid, you're like, that's 4 years away. That's a lifetime away. I did that. I did those 4 years, and then my family member was incarcerated, and they did 4 years, and it went by that fast. I said, all right, well, it's 2015. My goal is to be ready with a trucking company for cannabis. And that I think in my head is going to be set by 2020. And if I make it or I fail, I can come right back and nothing's going to change. Because when you're gone in the Marine Corps, when you're gone in any time in life, 4 years, you think you're missing out on everything. And majority of the time, nothing's changed. Nothing has ever changed. And I told myself that. I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to chase this dream one more time. Make another sacrifice, which I didn't want to do because I told myself, like, you sacrificed enough. There's no reason why you have to go do this again. Like, this is the FAA's fault. I was ready to be, that guy that pity patted myself and blamed everyone else for my failures. I was like, no, I'm going to do this. And if I fail, I'll come back in 4 years, and it's the same story. And I left 2015. I went to the CDL school of Miami. And it was
how long is that CDL school?
Oh man, CDL school. That's why I talked. You and I spoke about it. I want to get it. You and I talked about insurance. I want to get into that, and I also wanted to open up my own CDL school because What they have right now is these programs that are set up for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe if you're lucky, you get 6 weeks. And it's so fast because the aviation process is months, 3 to 6 months. You learn how to fly a plane. But for some reason, they throw somebody in a truck within 6 weeks. You know? And I went in there, and if it wasn't because of my aviation background, I felt comfortable in a big machinery. But there was a lot of guys that were struggling. That they were so focused on so much happening because it is a lot happening, man. It's a lot.
Without a doubt.
That first time you get in a truck, it's just like, oh my. Me, I'm from New York City, man. When you go to the supermarket, you don't even think about where this thing came from or where anything came from. You just think it came from Target or your corner store, the bodega. You know, you think Pablo has everything in the back, and you don't even think about, you know, anything else. It just comes from the back. Like, that's it. You know, no truck brings it here. I never even thought I would see the trucks backing up, but I would never put two and two together. Maybe that's the, you know, ignorance in me, but I think a lot of people thought like that until this year, until the pandemic happened, and everybody was like, oh, stock up on toilet paper, get water. And the world realized, oh, you need us, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, keeping those supply lines running was massively important for the entire country.
Right. And this year was, you know, it was such a scary situation with what was happening in the world, but for logistics, man, it was at one point, now too, it's the best market that we've ever had over the past, since I've been in it, 5 years. And it's not going to last like this forever. We're going to balance out, and I hope we do. But we also had a scare also in April and May, because the supply and demand went up so high in March when the whole country shut down. And a lot of the truck drivers and guys in the industry were so excited. And us being in, you know, the military background that we have, you see two perspectives in a situation or two different scenarios. Like, yeah, it's good for us, but where are we heading to? Because if this virus shuts us all down, then are we going to have a job? And then that's when the whole phrase of essential workers happened. And it was scary because even though we were essential workers, warehouses were shutting down, man. There was no work. In April and May, Tyson factories were shutting down, which is the, you know, the nuggets and, you know, food.
The nuggets
or whatever, the tenders. I slept like my first year. I drove for Warner, which is one of the biggest companies out here. You've probably seen the baby blue trucks, and you never even notice it because you're not in the industry.
Yeah,
you know. No. But now that
WB Mason is like the only.
Right,
company.
But now that I tell you, you'll see 5 Warner trucks tomorrow morning, you know? And I worked with Trans Am out in Kansas, and we did reefer, which is refrigerated, which I don't understand why they don't just say refrigerated, because when you say reefer, I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers are moving cannabis already.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of like food and refrigerated products my first year, and I was, you know, staying at Tyson factories, a lot of butcher factories. And it was very eye-opening to me to see like trailers filled with cows and animals just being pulled into these warehouses. And they look at you, these cows look at you like, help me. I don't know how I didn't turn vegan during this whole time, but you know, you see the whole chain effect of how America is ran by. And that's what hooked me, man. Once I saw how big and small this country was at the same time, I was hooked, Scott. Like driving from coast to coast and factory to factory, and you know, you knock on a door in the back of someone's house or someone's warehouse in Iowa. They open the door. What do you want? I'm the driver.
I'm the driver. I'm the guy.
Yeah, I'm baby driver. And they're like, come in, and they let you in this warehouse. There's so much going on, and it's 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. You're like, what is all this? Like, it's toilet paper, it's chicken, it's water. And you're like, oh my God, I couldn't even picture this, you know? Like, that's how you hook.
No.
Yeah, it's so fast. You see things working and maneuvering, and the start process of everything. It put my whole cannabis dream, like, oh, when cannabis gets legalized, I'll be ready. It was just let's just learn as much as possible in this industry and go. And I was hooked, man. That's what got me.
So, at this point, you're working for Warner.
Right, Warner was for a couple months. I never. So,
Well, how much time did you spend working for other people, for other companies?
the thing is, there's different routes you can take. People could, if you know someone, they could put you in the industry and hook you up with a job if you get lucky, and you start off making great money. I knew that from what my family member had told me, what are good products, what are good loads, what are good rates. I kind of had an idea of just listening to him. And actually, a lot of the guys that were incarcerated as well had trucking companies when they were incarcerated. And when I would leave, I would see their family members get in their cars and go home. And I'm like, dang, how is she driving that car while her husband is locked up over here? And they had trucking companies. So I would ask them questions on how the market would work. And a lot of the guys told me, go learn for 2 years with the big name companies and mess up their trucks. You know, you're gonna go through some stuff. And I did. There was times that I was like, I don't think I could do this because I had to learn on my own. And I drove for Warner for about 3 months. Got a promotion because it's just like the Marine Corps. You go in and you're a boot, and no one wants to even respect you. And then you do, your schooling or your 30 days, 90 days, and then you get these other phone calls from people like, hey, we'll offer you this much. And in the industry, everything's broken down by cents per mile as a driver. So we got offered at the time, like with Warner, I was getting paid 30 cents a mile. And that's great, like, oh, wow, I'm getting 30 cents a mile. So on an average week, I would drive, your goal is to drive, 3,000 to 4,000 miles a week.
Jesus.
And then you multiplied that by 30 cents, and that's your payroll. So you want to drive a lot. That's the goal. But when you're new, they don't put you to drive a lot because they don't trust you. They don't want you working too hard, and you don't make money. So then I got a promotion, and somebody offered me a little bit more money. And I was like, yeah, they respect my name out here. They see what I'm doing out here.
You arrogant bastard. I love it.
I think I got like 32 cents. I got like 2 cents or 4 cents extra. And I was like, watch out, young bucks. And then I got into this leasing program with Trans Am, which is like they give you your truck. And you rent out, you lease their equipment, and you're the they call it an owner operator, a 00. And it's your truck, your responsibility, and everything's on you except for the loads. They give you the loads, you accept it if you want. That's when I started learning about rates and what the real numbers were, I thought. And it backfired on me because I didn't understand on how to save fuel or maintain my tires and, certain little things that when you own something, you got to watch out for every part of it. It's like any store, any warehouse,
Yeah, it's those little details as far as improving your gas mileage and the longevity of the vehicle, and I mean, because you're trying to that is your business, right? So you're trying to maximize every little nook and cranny that you can to turn a profit.
Right, but these big companies, they penalize you on top of that.
Ooh.
Right. So I was literally getting checks for 70, 80 cents a week. And I said, damn, there's worse jobs out here than the United States Marine Corps. And I found it. And I was like, this is bad, man. So I finished my contract with them, and I dropped off their truck, and I was out. Then I went to this company in Memphis. So this is within like a year or two. And I'm working for this company in Memphis, God. I'm getting 50 cents a mile.
Wow.
Yeah, pat me on the back, right? So I'm balling at this time, right? But I'm happy because I finally got to drive the truck that I wanted, that, all the guys that had told me about the industry were like, this is the truck to get. This is the truck to get. Like, it's a good truck. And everybody's, has their own opinion on what their favorite truck is, but I wanted to see what this Volvo was all about.
Those things are nice, actually. Those things are sick.
I didn't know. I don't know anything.
I don't know either, but they look sick.
Dude, I didn't even know there was beds in the trucks when I first got into the industry. I was like, you can sleep in a truck? And this is crazy. And then when I went into my first truck, it's bigger than my first apartment in New York. It's just huge. And it was eye-opening for me. So not only am I driving from coast to coast, but I'm also, in this machinery and it's new to me, but I got to the Volvo that I wanted. I was really happy about that. The money was there, but I was just happy that I made it to a checkpoint. One of my checkpoints before I started was get with a company that'll give you a Volvo, because you have no say your first year or so. You have no say. You're going to do what they give you and do what they say. And it's changed a little bit now because people want you to get into trucking, but it's still very hard for the new guys. And once I got into the Volvo, I thought I was the man. I was running for this company in Memphis. They don't even exist anymore. And that's when I realized the different levels of companies in trucking. And mind you, this is only like 18 months in the industry. In Memphis, these guys had 75 trucks. And I'm thinking that's a huge company. In trucking, you're not a small company until you have more than 100 trucks, and then you're considered a small company.
Wow.
Which is crazy because each truck produces about $250,000 every year. And you're a small company.
Holy cow.
So that company that I was working for in Memphis, they actually ended up selling out. And the owner actually, Memphis Express, I forget the name of it, but he was a pilot also. So me and him had a little bond too. And his son was a Marine, so he took care of me also. Old man, he had a respirator. He came into work like once a year.
Carrying an oxygen tank behind
He did.
him.
He actually did. And he sold his company to a company called KLLM. They're a big Western company, West Coast company. It's a horse logo. You'll probably see those around too now that I told you. But he sold it to them, and they don't exist anymore. And then I met these guys. My girlfriend came out to Chicago, and I came out here to live with her, and I met this small company of 40 trucks out here in Chicago on like Craigslist. But mind you, I have like a year and a half, 2 years almost of driving. So now you're kind of like a new veteran, or what I'll say, you're an NCO now. You could watch over guys at this point. Like people respect you, people want you on their team. But once you hit that marker, everyone's gonna start calling you. So these guys brought me on board. Freestyle Trucking, if you're interested in trucking, give them a look. They're a great company, and they changed my life for me, man. And they worked with me and made Chicago my home, really, because the other companies would have so many rules on how they would work and logistically, and when you come home and when you stay out on the road. And I think I told you, like, there was a couple of times that you had moved to Pembroke Pines as soon as I left. And I learned that at that point, no one went into Florida. No trucking company goes to Florida because there's no money out there. And it was just like, okay, I gotta get Florida up because no one wants to go out there. And because of me living in Florida, guys wouldn't hire me. I wouldn't get a job offer because I lived in Florida. So it was a very sacrificial industry that I had to come into, and I had to give everything up. I literally gave everything up in my apartment, sold or gave everything away, and I lived in a truck for about 2 years. 2 years, man.
That's insane.
All because of a dream or a vision or whatever you want to call it. I just started thinking like, by 2020, marijuana is going to be legal and rates are this much and this much. I became Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, and I was just doing numbers one night. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And the crazy part was that when I told everybody I'm dropping out of school and I'm going into trucking, everyone was so supportive about it. And I didn't know what I was missing out or what I couldn't see that everyone else saw in trucking. And it was, luckily it turned out to be the best situation and the best, decision since the Marine Corps for me.
I got to pee so bad, bro. Give me 1 second.
Me too. Ooh, that was quick. So yeah, dude, the Astros are forcing a game 7.
Say that again. I had a loud beep.
Oh, you can hear it? Hold on, how do I mute this? But then if I mute it, I can't hear you. I gotta lower.
No, you're good. You're good. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But you were saying that everybody was really supportive of you, and you were surprised by that. I mean, was your uncle in the business at this point? Is that?
Oh no. So what happened was, he had gotten out. I told him, "Hey, look, I want to go forward with this." And in trucking, you have to go, if you want to go forward with logistics, you have to go to school for trucking, the CDL school. And once you graduate from the CDL schools, whichever CDL school it is, these big name corporations start looking for new drivers. And only a certain amount of big name corporations go after new drivers. Everyone else, like, good luck to you, or you better know someone that's gonna bring you along. And it's a unwritten rule that you need to have 2 years of experience in trucking before anyone gives you a shot, or almost 2 years, because no one's going to give you a shot without any experience, except for these massive corporations, and they'll give you the shot, but they're going to pay you dirt cheap money. You're going to wish you were PFC in the Marine Corps again after working for these guys. You're gonna start thinking about that first check you got in boot camp, like, wow, $650.
$650. Remember those days? So you're working for was it Freestyle, right? And then at what point do you start to transition and go, okay, like, I understand the industry, I sort of understand some of the metrics and the numbers, and
I still did it. But I knew a lot more than I did 2 years ago.
Was this where you took that leap of faith and you launched, or did you have another experience after that?
No. I worked for Freestyle for an entire year. So I found a company that I was happy with, took care of me when I say, hey, I want to go home this weekend, or I'm gonna stay out. I'm gonna stay on the road for this much. I don't want to go here, or I'll go here. They gave me a lot of control of what I wanted to do, and they also took care of me as a unit of one of their units, instead of just driver 19934832, whatever the number was that they gave you for your truck number. That's who you were to all the other companies. Because you got to understand, these big name companies, I won't say all the names because I want to work with some of them eventually, move their freight, but they don't know your name. Every time you call, you're talking to somebody different, and they have thousands of trucks nationwide. So, and they have people, cycling through the system, guys that try it out, get back out, go back to whatever they were doing back home, and say, yeah, that trucking wasn't for me.
It is very much like the military. I mean,
very much like the military.
You're a number.
A lot of veterans in this industry.
Yeah. So when you take that leap of faith and you jump out and you go to start your own logistics company, what does that look like?
Well, I was lucky because I decided to start my own company with Freestyle. So I bought my truck and I was leased onto them. Again, I did a leasing program, but at this time I'm buying the truck from this company and they're getting me the loads.
So just explain that to me, because leasing and then buying the truck is two separate things. So just kind of make that delineation.
The way it works is I bought the truck, but you get the loads through them.
Okay, so they're providing you the opportunities and they're providing you the freight to move.
So exactly. They get you all the freight, all the logistics, and they get a cut out of everything that I make. Okay. Right? So you're responsible for your truck, you're responsible for your tires and your fuel. But at this point now, I'm like 2 years in, 2.5 years in. Going to 3 years, I'm like, I got this. Now it's 3 years. But mind you, remember, I told you, when I'm writing my plans, I'm like, by 2015, I start. 2016, I have 2 trucks. 2017, I have 3 trucks. We're at 2017, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready to start my company now. Just 3 years in, I wasted so much time, and I failed so many times. Not failed. You know, I saw one of your podcasts. You said that this company failed, that company failed, and it's not a failure. And if you think like that, you failed yourself, because if you can't learn from your failures, you're never going to succeed in life. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you, was because every time I woke up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., at those odd times where a 24, 25-year-old kid shouldn't be waking up to drive, or it's not the norm. It's not that they shouldn't. Some guys do it. Some guys have their dads that put them into the industry and they do it. But for a kid from New York City, living in Miami, going to school, going to college in Miami, it was a whole different lifestyle of waking up at 4 a.m. instead of getting home at 4 a.m. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right. So it was every day I'm brushing my teeth at a truck stop. I'm thinking, what the am I doing here? Is this the right decision? Am I making the right move? I'm not making any money. I haven't progressed to, it's 2017. I'm supposed to have this many trucks already in my head. And I had to learn how to be self-driven and self-motivated, and podcasts were one of those things that became my escape. You know, my it was like steroids, like just injecting myself with just a new power, audibles, books, hearing I told you Phil Knight, Shoe Dog, or yeah, I think that's the name of the book. Hearing a lot of entrepreneurs' story of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and those are your, you know, your
standards. Yeah,
standards. But there's so much failure in their stories. You know, like people don't understand that Jeff Bezos, they told him, dude, Barnes and Noble, you'll never pass Barnes and Nobles. You're wasting your time selling books online. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, the internet was almost looked at as like a fad. Like
Yeah,
it was going to come and go and just be a thing of the past. And like, he was sort of a visionary that was able to see, like, I don't know about that, you know, and his process is a unique one. Definitely, for sure.
So is everyone's. You know, Phil Knight's book, the creator of Nike, he quit in the middle of his journey twice. Can you imagine what this world would look like if we didn't have Nikes? You know how many kids would not get jumped in New York City if it wasn't because all over the country you wouldn't get robbed because you're like, but no, real story. Like, he quit a couple times, man. Like, but then you hear crazy stories of him going to Japan right after the war and meeting with investors out there that were selling Le Tigre shoes. You know, I think it's Le Tigre. I might be saying it wrong, but he went out there and was like, look, I could sell your product in Seattle. And they were like, what's the name of your company? At that moment when they asked him, he didn't even have a name of his company. And you think this nut job went to Japan right after the war? That's like one of us going to Iraq or Afghanistan and say, hey, let me get a contract with you. Are you crazy? You just know you blew up everybody over here. He was a nut job. And, you know, you have to be nuts to go out. So when I would hear stories like that, when I would hear, you know, Joe Rogan's podcast of whatever entrepreneur that they were interviewing and hearing their failures, I embraced it. So failure, like hearing failure stories was positive energy to me. I need that. Because they never stayed there. I recently heard a saying of somebody that said, if you're going through right now, why stop? Keep going. You want to stay stuck in hell? Keep going. And that's what kept me going, man.
Yeah, because I mean, hope is everything, right? Like,
sometimes you can't give it to yourself.
Yeah, and we don't know what the upper limits to that are. So like, just being able to latch onto that in and of itself can propel you forward. I mean, there's obviously a ton of other factors, right? But like, just being hopeful and being able to see other people's struggles and then them break through to the other side, right. It gives you the confidence to go, you know what, like, even if this is kind of crazy, like, this can be done. This is a proven and tried method, right? Like,
absolutely.
It's about your ability to adapt and to find that blue ocean strategy, which is a great book, by the way. And to find that market where you can kind of corner the market where everyone's kind of going this way and you go that way. And that's sort of the Jeff Bezos story, right? Like,
absolutely.
And that's super, super important. And I do the same thing. I mean, I just got done, and I sent you the book, Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick McDavid. That's a hell of a book. That's a book I hope you get on like ASAP, because that's changing right there. That's changing the way I'm thinking about everything and approaching everything. And like, I got to go back. I listened to it on Audible. I'm going to go back and I'm going to start taking notes. I'm going to sticky note, and I'm going to start trying to implement as best as I can. And I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to make every move the correct decision, you know, and I'm going to fail and I'm going to learn. But the idea, no matter what it is, even if this business that I have right now fails, like, I'm set on being an entrepreneur. I'm set on trying to make it. You know what I'm saying?
That is the best lifestyle anyone could give themselves.
Yeah.
And not everybody's meant for it. So I'm sorry if I say it's the best lifestyle, because it's not. Some people aren't meant to be entrepreneurs, and you shouldn't try to go for it, because if you have the mindset of a 9-to-5 or a 5 to midnight shift or midnight to morning shift, and that's you. And we need people like you too. But
Yeah.
To be an entrepreneur, it's tough.
Well, success is a personal definition, right? Like, it can't be, there's no singular definition of success. Like, whatever success is to you is different to me. It's different to my wife. You know, like, my wife loves her job and she wants to scale that corporate ladder within that realm. And you know what? That's awesome, because you can also become an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? There's different avenues to go. And as long as you're fulfilled at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And for me, it's like, I have this innate feeling that I'm destined for something great, you know, and I'd be remiss if I didn't try to fulfill that. I wouldn't feel good about that. Like, my life would, I couldn't live with myself. It pisses me off, the fact that I'm at where I'm at now, although I'm very appreciative of where I'm at now. You know, I want to wring the rag of my potential. You know, when you get done with a workout and your shirt's all sweaty and you wring it and all the sweat drops out, that's what I want to do to my soul and to my potential. Like, I just want to be able to wring it all out and be like, man, I put everything forward to make this happen. And hopefully it's a success.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever had moments throughout your journey that are the lowest of the low moments that you tell yourself, maybe I should just give up? And then also those same moments of success where you feel like you were in a lucky situation or a breakout situation, that something happened that if it wasn't because you didn't give up at this moment, this opportunity would have never happened at this successful situation.
Oh, without a doubt. And in the military specifically, I haven't had a ton of business success, right? I'm a startup, you know, but I got NJP. Do you know that? And for me, that was a huge pivotal moment in my life, where I got NJP'd, or in the Army, they call it Article 15, where you get busted.
But people also don't know that an NJP is one of the most embarrassing things that you go through sometimes, depending on how your battalion deals with it also.
Oh, without a doubt. And you know, I came back on the advance party, so everyone else is still deployed in the shit. Guys are still dying. And I'm over here stateside acting like a jackass, get into a fight and beat the shit out of 2 kids. And ultimately I end up losing my rank. And the thing is, you remember First Sergeant Scott?
Yeah, I do actually.
So without going into the story, I was defending somebody, right? And he knew that. Everybody knew that. The XO didn't really care. Whatever, that's his prerogative. In the bigger grand scheme of things, I understand his perspective, and I'm not mad at him. Matter of fact,
It also happened on base too, because I remember that happening.
Yeah.
They had to do something.
Right. And he told me, well, first off, when I went through the NJP, usually they take your rank off your collar and then they put on the lower rank. So I was a corporal. Which is very demeaning in and of itself, just the process of doing that, right?
And you would think that it's just privately in an office between you and him. No, there's other people there.
Yeah, there's witnesses. You have to have witnesses there.
Yep.
So he didn't do that. He purposely didn't take the rank off my collar, because he understood the significance of it, and he understood the position that I was in, and he knew who I was as an individual and as a Marine. And he voiced that to me afterwards. And in that conversation, he told me, and I'll never forget this, and I use this line a lot to other people when I'm talking to them. He told me, this is a teardrop in the ocean of who you are.
Ooh.
Don't let it affect you.
Yeah.
And to me, I walked out of that NJP like, I'm ready to go. I'm back as a senior lance corporal. And then when I got back to the comm shop, I had Gunny Rust, who was another phenomenal leader. He's like, dude, what are we going to do to bounce back? What's that?
Who loved you like a son at that.
Oh, he did. He did. He absolutely did. He loved all of us like sons.
Yeah.
And his position wasn't to treat me like a turd.
Right. Which could break a lot of people at that moment.
His position is how do we get you to bounce back?
Right.
And that's when I ended up extending, not to make this about me, but the story as a whole is important. Yeah. But I ended up extending to go on a deployment. And instead of him corralling me into a position where I have a meaningless job or a job that is less significant, he goes, hey, you know what? I got a good opportunity for you. Why don't you go become the battalion commander's radio operator? I'm not even a radio operator by trade.
Right.
I'm a tech. I fix radios.
Right.
And now I'm going to go work for the battalion commander, lieutenant colonel. He gave me that opportunity. Here it is.
Awesome.
Here it is. He empowered me. He gave me a platform to overcome and prove something to not only the rest of the battalion, but to myself. And I fucking killed it.
Right.
Honestly, I really did. And I'm that's something I'm so proud of. And that's something I always think about and I always rely on is like, I overcame this scenario, not only because of my own mindset, but because of the people around me. And that's why it's so important, like you said, when you reached out to me, because you want to find other people that share that same sentiment, that share that same motivation and idea. And that's important because you're a direct reflection of who you hang around and who you associate with. Yep. So that was huge for me.
Because you tell the story differently. I've seen NJPs go in front of the entire battalion. That's 1,500 deep. They strip your rank, make you do an about face, look at everybody. I've seen promotions being ripped in front of people, tears going down people's faces, and then you'll never see or hear from that guy again. You probably would have never re-enlisted if they would have beat you down like that, like a dog. And that's leadership. Leadership is to know when, okay, you messed up, and let's lift you up and pick you up and succeed out of this instead of bring you down. And a perfect example of what just happened right now. You look at I'm a huge sports fan. I don't have a team. I just watch sports. But Danny Green of the Lakers was getting death threats for missing that shot. He missed a game winner. I think it was game 5. And his team was like, we know who Danny is. We count on Danny, and he'll hit those big shots for us. And the game after that, the Lakers won the championship. And Danny Green, I think, had 12 points, just huge. But if you have guys bad mouthing him and talking to the media about, oh, we shouldn't have missed this game, we should have won, that'll ruin that guy's career. So having guys around you is the same reason why I was telling you that when I left 3-9 and I went to 2-9, I saw similar faces, and you see it in their eyes, you see it in their persona, and you say, oh, that's a dog. That's a dog. That's a dog. I may not be the strongest biting dog around here, but the same way you said you were defending someone, that guy knew you would defend him. The same way he knew you defended him, 3 other guys knew to the left and right that they would defend you also. And the guys that weren't there would have had your back. And that's why that unit was like this, man. There was no way at any unit, 3-9 was like that at one point. When I left 2-9, I didn't want to leave 2-9, but I was ready to get out. But, man, I never had any fear with 2-9. From everybody we worked, I told you, Lopez taught me how to work out. Lopez was one of the guys that took me to the gym. And instead of, that's another situation where you get intimidated. I mean, you got into powerlifting. How intimidating was that? Like, what was that journey like?
Oh, that was a really interesting journey. Yeah. I had met a guy. He was actually a Navy guy. He was an instructor at a sea school that was attached to the building that I was at in Miramar. And this guy was just a powerhouse. I mean, he was like, you know, super accomplished. He's like top 10 in the country. And, you know, like I'd seen him work out and he had saw me work out. And there was a level of respect because, you know, I was lifting decent weight and he's like, hey, I want you to come to my meet and I want you to handle me. Basically, like, you know,
saw the dog in you.
yeah, he saw it in me. And so he's like, I want you to come to this meet in Metroflex in Long Beach. And the significance of Metroflex is that, do you know who CT Fletcher is?
No, not at all.
All right. CT Fletcher is that guy. He's got huge, massive arms. He went viral with his motivational speech years and years and years ago. And I mean, he's a legend in the fitness community.
Right.
And this is his home. This is where he trains out of. And I get to that meet, and there's CT Fletcher. I'm looking at this guy. I have a picture with him. His arms are like, I'm talking like this big. I mean, his arms are literally bigger than my head. And, you know, I go up to him like, hey, like, you know, like, so awesome to meet you. You know, I'm shaking his hand. And I'm seeing my buddy go through you get 3 squat attempts, and then you get 3 bench attempts, and then 3 deadlift attempts. And CT Fletcher is literally standing maybe like 2-3 feet from the bar. My buddy walks out his squat, and CT Fletcher's going in, bro. He's screaming, he's yelling, he's motivated. I mean, you know, you know, he's going nuts. And I'm like, holy cow, this is an intense community, and I like it. Like,
yeah,
everybody's coming together to support an individual on a single lift. Nobody knows who this guy is. Nobody knows who the next girl is, but everybody wants to see this person succeed.
It was just like the shop.
Just like the shop. And that's the thing. And like, you know, on my second deployment, when I worked for the battalion commander, I ended up getting a combat meritorious promotion, which is a huge deal, especially in an infantry battalion.
Absolutely.
And a non-grunt. I wasn't an infantry guy. I mean,
Right.
Those slots are filled for guys. I mean, in my mind, for guys that are exceeding, you know, the bar in combat.
Right.
And
But at the same time, if we were to hear that, oh, Brewer's going on this board, in our shop, everyone knows, hey, Scotty, you got this, bro. You got this. Like, don't, ain't nobody out there got the dog in you than anybody else, you know, over there. You're that guy. So when you have guys around you that feed you that fire, and that's the thing about those guys, you know, those and people, you know, those people that want you to see you succeed, even if it is on your own as a board like that. When you're around certain people and you're lifting and you're not the strongest guy, but you're trying to get there, and they tell you, you got this, it makes you stronger. It makes you, you know, believe in yourself a little more that you could be that much better. And then you start thinking, I'm going to do it for this guy then. And you're not doing it for yourself. It's weird how you do that sometimes to succeed in life for certain things. And I'm sure you felt that having that guy, you know, pump everybody up at the gym. You see that and you're like, oh, this guy's on my team. Like, how could I lose now?
yeah, that's the thing. There's a level of personal accountability and personal responsibility that goes into everything. And then there's also the team aspect and the community aspect. And like, if you have the right community, there's just no telling what the upper limits of that are. I keep saying that because if someone soups you up and you start to believe in yourself, your potential for growth is literally endless.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. You know, I got into ultra running. I went from powerlifting to ultra running. So I went from, you know, I ended up making it top 10 in the country. I was ranked top 10 in the country, and I was super strong. And then eventually, like, I realized, like, all right, well, a lot of this powerlifting stuff is super ego driven, right? Like, everything's about me. You know, even though there's this team aspect and you lift with a team and you train with other individuals, like, it's ultimately about me and what I can do, right? And then feeling good based on, oh, I did this, you know. And then I started to dive into ultra running, and I never ran a half marathon. I had never ran a 5K. I never ran a marathon. I never ran a 50K. and I signed up for a 50-mile race in the Keys. So you run from Marathon, which is the key that's in the middle of the Keys, and then you run to Key West. It's 50 miles exactly. And I ran this race, and I had a shoe.
What time of the day are you running this race? Because that's a hell of a temperature to run through in Florida. Also,
Oh, bro, it was intense, bro. It was the 50 mile. I think I started at like 9 or 9:30.
Yeah, 12 o'clock sun. You hitting that 12 o'clock sun for sure.
Oh my God, bro, brutal.
Yeah.
And I'm running this race. Well, I ran I didn't train to run it either. I just basically got out there and tried to run it.
The David Goggins book?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that inspired me to do this.
All right, David.
And during that race, the things that I saw from other people were so inspiring. I saw this couple. They must have been 60 plus years old. And they were running the race together, the wife and the husband. And the wife was broke. Well, I don't know. I was like mile 35 or something like that. And the wife was just completely broken down. I mean, she's limping. And the husband's got her arm draped around his neck. And he's got his hand around his waist. And he's hobbling with her. And they're just motoring. They're not complaining. They're not whining. I passed them and I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is one of the most inspiring things that I've ever fucking seen in my life. I get to a checkpoint and I had a shoe issue. About 2 miles into the race, it's a long story, so I'll keep it really short, but I had messed up the shoes that I was running in. So about 3 miles in, I'm starting to get blisters, which shouldn't have happened until like, I don't know, 15 miles, 20 miles, you know?
Right. And blisters will ruin your whole run.
Destroy it. So I had to switch shoes to these Nike Free 5.0. So I went to like these ultra running shoes that are like this thick. Huh?
Nike to sponsor the show.
Yeah, exactly. I went from running in these Hoka shoes that are designed for ultra running that are like this thick. They cushion the foot, they cushion the impact, and they were just jacking me up. And then 10 miles in, I switched to these Nike Frees, which are like this thin.
With blisters.
Oh, tons of blisters. I think I'm at mile, I don't know, 30, somewhere around there. I just hit a marathon, and my first marathon inside this race. And this lady sees me, and she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? Because I'm in a world of pain, dude. Like, my knee is just killing me. My hip is killing me. Everything. I could barely even run. I mean,
pulled over to the side and like changed your shoes.
Pulled over to the side, and
she come with you or no team?
I got a buddy that's following me in a car.
That's your guy.
You know, and like this is the first ultra run I've done, and it's a qualifier for one of the hardest races in the world. So if you get through this race, it's one of the prerequisite races that qualifies you for arguably the hardest race in the world. So the magnitude of this race is insane. This lady comes up to me, don't know her. She's supporting somebody else. And she's waiting for that individual to get to the checkpoint. She sees me. She's like, what can I do for you? Like, what's going on? And I'm like down in the dumps, dude. Like, I'm like, my mind is somewhere else. My spirit, everything. I'm just like, I'm not there. And I just tell her like, hey, like, I know I've had this shoe issue. My feet are jacked up. Bro, she sits down. She takes the shoes off of her feet. And she goes, where are my shoes? She's like, you can have these. This lady.
But she gave you the Nikes.
No. She was going to offer me her like brand new, nice running shoes. They're great condition, you know, like off the bottoms of her feet. And at that point, I didn't accept them because at that point,
good, because I was going to tear you up right now.
Not even because of anything else other than the fact that like. From that Goggins mentality, I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, I've already ran like 25 miles in these shoes that I should not have been running in the first place. Like, and I'm so close to the finish line. It would be incredible if I finished this race in these shoes, given the scenario that I was in.
You're writing your autobiography right now.
It's not that I'm not a badass by any means, but just the simple fact that this other human found something in me and related to me and leveled with me.
Yep.
And literally wanted to give the shoes off of her feet to me to help me out, to help me get through this race. That was one of the most powerful moments in my entire life. I mean, it literally was like, if this lady can do this for me, like, what can I do for other people?
Yeah.
How can I help other people?
Absolutely.
You know, and that was sort of the essence of that ultra community, vice the powerlifting. Powerlifting was also very supportive, but it was very ego driven. This, it was like, hey, I'm seeing this guy suffering. There was another guy, this is very vulgar. He was bleeding out of his pants because he had such bad chafage in his groin area. And he's just holding his stuff so it didn't touch the sides of his legs, because that was creating the chafing and causing him to bleed. And I'm like, what is it about these people that are just driving so hard? And it really made me look at things a lot differently. And that's what really turned it on for me. And I was like, holy shit, like, I'm not fulfilling my potential. Like, I always thought, oh man, I'm Mr. Bad. I'm a Marine. I'm this, I'm that. I fucking deadlifted 600 pounds at this body weight, and I'm this and I'm that. And it was so ego driven, and there was no ego in this community. It was about literally helping other people get through this arduous time that at points it just seems unattainable.
Yeah.
You know, and the cool thing about this was I had this 2-9 shirt made, and it had pictures of all the guys that we lost on that first deployment.
Yep.
And my goal, aside from just obviously accomplishing with the race, was to wear this shirt and to walk these guys across the finish line.
Yep.
I was taking them on a journey, and they were the wings that were providing me that support that I needed and that motivation that I needed. Like, hey, these guys gave their life. The least I can do is suffer through this race, this little bit, just to keep their memory alive. And I did. I got a video of it. I walked through the finish line. I had the shirt up. It was super emotional for me. And that really changed my mindset. So sorry to go off on a tangent.
No, I loved it. And I'm sure the people loved it also, man, because those are the stories that fuel us, man, because we all hit rock bottom. You know, like, when you're at that low, I have similar stories in different situations, but seeing other people keep going makes you say, hey, I could go a little bit farther. And then sometimes when you're what, my marker 30, you said 35?
Yeah.
Once you hit 36, you're like, one more mile. 37, one more mile. 40, one more mile. 45, 5 more miles left. And then you start thinking backwards. 4, 3, 2. And once you cross it, man.
It's like boot camp, right? Chow to chow, Sunday to Sunday.
That's how you got to break down life, unfortunately.
And
anybody that says they're battling through depression or they're going through some sort of funk, take it day by day. The second you start thinking of hope, have a plan, have a blueprint, but it ain't going to go that way. I promise you that. It ain't going to go. You're not going to run the whole 50 miles just smiling and giggling and talking to the guy next to you. It ain't going to happen.
No.
It's not, man. And if it is, it's not going to be enjoyable because it's going to be so easy. You're going to be like, next.
Exactly. It's difficult. Like, I've never climbed a mountain, but if you think about it metaphorically, like, if you're about to scale a mountain, when you look up at the mountain, that feat is ginormous. You're like, oh my God. You can't think about it. It's too big for you to actually process, right? And so one of the things that Goggins talks about, which is so applicable, is just, dude, I don't need to, I want to get here, but
let me get here
how I'm going to get there is left, right, left. It's just one step. It's taking this big thing and just breaking it down to small attainable chunks,
right?
And moving forward, you know. And I don't know how we got down this path, but I want to bring it back to your business because that's sort of what you did, right? Like, I mean, you went.
Well, let me tell you something. Everybody I tell, like, oh, I'm a truck driver. I started my own trucking company. I say, oh, you must really love trucking. When I tell you I hate driving, I don't like it. I'll give you, if I had whatever your favorite car is, if I had it, I'll let you drive me. Because I don't like to drive. I don't like sitting in traffic. I don't like holding the steering wheel. I don't like being alert nonstop. I don't like driving. when I tell people how much you have to drive to be in trucking, to be successful, you have to drive this much. When people say, "Oh, I can never do that," I tell them, "No, you can't." Why do you say that? Because you said it. Once you tell yourself you can't do it, it's done. That's it.
Done.
I don't want you on my team. When somebody says, "So you drive how much?" How do you feel the next day? When they ask me stuff like that, how do you feel the next day? I say, "Oh, that's a dog." Dog right there. Because he's thinking differently. He's not thinking about how impossible it is. Like, how's your back feeling? How's your ego feeling? Are you tired? Like, do you feel? And when I was on the road, my first year, I said my first year, I'd wake up sometimes and be like, I hate my life. Why me? Why am I doing this? I could be on the beach right now in South Florida. And I would want to quit a lot of times. And sometimes, you'll be parked in a truck stop and you got to walk to the store to brush your teeth, get coffee, start your day. Sometimes you go to the fuel station and fuel up in the morning. When you would see these guys, you would see these guys with these army shirts, Navy shirts, or just regular dudes, old ladies. You see the old ladies, you're like, oh, grandma out here grinding? Grandma, you working harder than me. It's 4:30. You're ready. You look like you've been going on all day. When you see these old ladies getting in, you're like, hold on. I can't let grandma beat me. But these people, dude, this is what they do in life. They grind. So you gotta change your mindset on I can't do it, poor me, to it's time to get to work. It's time to get to work. So sometimes I used to go to the back of the truck stop because it was darker, so I don't have to see all the light of the fuel station, and go to the side and go and brush my teeth and start my day. But I used to love going to the fuel station after a while and seeing everybody cleaning their windshields, checking their engine, checking their oil, making sure everything's good, pre-tripping their truck. And I would just love it. Like, the earlier I woke up and the more people that were there, it was like your pep rally. Like, yeah, let's get it, boy. Because you knew these people are just as crazy as you are.
Right.
So when you see these nut jobs out here going at it every morning at 3, 4, 2:30 a.m., 5 a.m., you're late. You showing up at 5:30. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I'm already about to have lunch. What are you doing? So I understand how you tell me that when this lady tried to give you her shoes, you would see her and say, wow, this lady, cares about me more than herself. These same guys, when they're cleaning their truck, getting ready to start the day or continue, or maybe they're just driving throughout the night. You never know. When they say, good morning, driver. How's your day going? And they're so energized, and you're like, you can't be tired. Like, take that one day at a time. That's all you gotta do. They're so hyped. They get you so hyped. Next thing you know, you're driving your 600-700 miles again. And then you get tired. At the end of the day, you stop. And you're like, man, I still got 1,000 miles to make it to New Jersey on Friday or Monday. How am I gonna do it? I'm so tired. You go to sleep. You do the same route. You go by the fuel station. You see everybody up, everybody grinding. The trucking industry is very competitive. You're with this company, you're with that company, you're with this company. There's also a small brotherhood within it, or union within it of just keep going, bro. Just keep going. Because a lot of truck drivers also, not want to say a lot, but some get into it because something happened in life. So you don't see a lot of young people in trucking. I want to change that. I want to change it because it's so hard to get, like I told you my story, you get pushed back and held back and paid less, and you don't get the opportunity of a veteran driver. You really shouldn't, because you don't know anything. But at the same time, you and I both know from deployment, and why I had a hard time, and I'm sure you did also in your second enlistment, was when you come back and you have a gunny that treats you like an equal because you guys went through the shits together. Then you come back stateside and you have a guy that's never been through the same rigorous situation that you and that gunny and have that bond that you and that gunny or staff sergeant or sergeant have, and you're treating me less than, but I've done more than you. It's kind of hard to respect you because you just want to throw rank ahead. It's kind of like how I want to change this trucking industry, that even if you don't have the experience in it, I'm gonna bring you in as long as you have that dog in you to keep going. I don't want you to make so in order to start a truck, you got to make a sacrifice and pay away from your family, the rigorous hours of work, the journey you have to go through, and just the eye-opening experience of going across country that a lot of us haven't gone through in life. And if I could change a little bit of that journey for the next person, similar to how you said with that lady that took off her shoe and say, here, that's what some people did to me in this industry was say, hey, just do this. And it's funny because we think about truck drivers as, your what is it, Mick Foley? Man,
Sacco.
yeah, SDT. That's what we think. I did. I thought a lot of truck drivers were like that, and they're not, man. Like when you would get in a situation when I'm parking in a tight spot in Virginia or in the Northeast, and I'm thinking like, oh man, I might hit this truck next to me or this wall next to me. You have guys come out and help you right away. It is such a bond within itself, and guys from different companies that come to help you out and fix your situation, that you respect each other a little bit more. There's unwritten rules in truck driving that if a driver's to your right of you or to your left of you and he's about to pass you, you blink your lights at them and let them know, hey, you're good to cut me off. You got me. You got enough space, because it's hard to tell.
Right. To
see all the way, you're thinking 70 feet. Sometimes, and if you're new, you can't tell. So you blink your lights at them, let them know, hey, you're good. Even as a regular vehicle, you let them know, like, hey, you're good. Dude, that's the world to some people, because I can move over and now traffic can flow. So little things like that was that brotherhood that I saw in trucking. I was like, I love this, right? But at the same time, I was still missing my bond with my guys. And I would think about guys like you and certain guys that I knew in 3-9 and, guys in 8th Com too. As much as I joke about 8th Com, like there were some good guys out there. And when I was thinking about starting my company, and even when I started my company, I said, I want to bring this guy, this guy, and this guy. And it was one of the guys that I always thought about. And it was one of my guys from comm school. And I hated this guy, man. I tell everybody, I can't stand this motherfucker, man. I did not like this motherfucker. But he was one of those guys, like, he was like you, like, during the worst situation of the day or in deployment. You and I shared that story of when we first got to Marja and you pulled out the diary, dear journal, and you just made everybody laugh. Everybody's nervous as hell. Nobody wants to admit it, but when you break that ice, it allows warriors to put on that suit and say, all right, suit up, guys, let's get ready. Let's get ready to go to work. When you have guys like that, it builds a camaraderie. And my buddy Josh Clem was one of those guys that I said, when I start my company, I got to get that guy on board down the road. And I didn't think, because he was a family man, worked, had a corporate job. And I said, well, he's not going to want to, get into trucking with me at all. This is ugly. I got to build something to bring him on board. And every time I would go by, his home state of Colorado, I would hit him up and like, hey man, I want to go see you. And sometimes it wouldn't work out. And I hadn't seen him in years. Same way I hadn't spoken to you in years. But when I talk to you, when you pick up the phone, and when you have that conversation with certain people and that connection is there right away, it brings out like that phoenix in you and like that eagle in you. You feel unstoppable all over again. And when I saw my buddy Josh in Colorado, I knew I wanted to bring him on board, but I couldn't pitch it to him, because I didn't want him to think like this is a business venture, like, hey, I want you to come on board right now. And so I just hung out with him. And it was so motivating to have certain guys like that I could stop by and see and, pick me up. And I used that to keep going through my marathon. And, now he's my business partner, and I wouldn't be able to continue with my journey in this company if it wasn't because I have a dog like that with me, because you have to have guys like that. And I want to bring more guys on board. There's one of the guys that I think about in 2-9, besides you, there's a bunch of guys, but Lenny. Lenny was one of my guys, man. Lenny took care of his shit. And I'm sorry to curse, but dude, whatever Lenny was in charge of, You might want to be careful when you walk inside that office. You know? He ain't gonna let you walk all over here, man.
No.
And those are the kind of guys that you want to bring on board with you, and that's what I'm looking for right now. You know, the company's doing great, we're doing good, but we need dogs. We need dogs. You know, it's kind of like the Miami Heat, and you know, no one expected them to be there, but they have dogs that are gonna go through it every day, and that's what we're looking for right now. But looking back at the Marine Corps ways and the guys that we had in our unit, 3'9", 2'9", really did have it, man. And those are the guys that, or the foundation that I want to kind of build for my company, is that Marine Corps mentality. And you know, trucking has it also. Trucking has that same mentality, that make it easier for the next guy, the same way that that lady and everybody else cared for you while you were going in that marathon. Is you got to care for the next guy as if it's yourself, you know. And that's the most important part about the journey.
Yeah, well, two things. One, it starts with that command climate, you know, and it starts basically with leadership. And when you have a guy like yourself who's going to foster that type of environment, and me and you have talked at length about, you know, sort of your vision, that's really the success. That's the driver of those same military concepts that apply in the trucking world, or any industry, really. Like that command climate, the leadership, the situation, and your ability to lead others and inspire others is really what creates the community, and it creates the brotherhood. And I have no doubt that you'll be able to do that. And I also have no doubt that I want to help you do that. And that's sort of where we're going to start, right? Is like,
Really.
Me and you are going to work together to not only help boost you up and prop up what you're doing, but because you have such a good idea, and because you want to give back, and you want to include veterans and that those dogs, so to speak, you know, that's what we're aiming to do, at least on my side. And that's how I mean, we've talked, but like, that's how we're going to work together, and we're going to try to give opportunities to other veterans that are go-getters, and we're going to make the deal sweet. You know, you had talked about compensation, cents per mile, and these different things. And you had pitched to me a specific idea that you have envisioned, and that I think you're implementing.
I'm not doing that cents per mile stuff.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Is like, you're going to try to change the game, and you're going to try to make it more enticing. And you're looking for guys that are willing to step up, and that are willing to go that extra mile. No pun intended, to build a platform that works for people. And you had laid out, you know, a concept that I want you to kind of elaborate on, and give the viewer and give the listener a snapshot of what that is. And me and you are going to start promoting that, and we're going to provide opportunities to veterans.
Well, let me explain what the norm is now. You join a trucking company and you get paid whatever your experience value is. So if you start off with no experience, you'll start off from 30 cents or sometimes 20 cents, you know, depending on where you go. 20 to, let's say, 40 cents within 2 years or less than 2 years of experience. So the goal is, as a new or a driver period, you get 40 cents per mile. And anybody that knows, you know, big market, big company, every business is ran to the freaking penny, you know? And trucking is just one of those big industries that breaks it down from the very beginning to the employee to the higher ups. That's how everything's broken down. So in trucking, the driver gets paid cents per mile, but the company's making a dollar amount per mile. So the farther, or depending on the trip, the company's getting a certain amount of dollars per mile. And what the company's trying to do is get to point A to point B as short as possible and make as much dollar per mile as possible. What they have right now for the driver is to drive Monday through Friday, or Monday through Monday, actually, as many miles as possible to make as many cents per mile, while the company makes the dollars per mile. So while you're busting your ass for as many miles as the company tells you to, you want to get as many miles as you can drive within a week. so you can get a bigger paycheck. Now, the problem is you can only drive a certain amount of miles every week because there's regulations. There's something called an electronic logbook now that they stick in your truck, and it tracks your time. And it's great. I think it's great. I think it's a good idea. It's kind of like telling somebody to be on radio watch for 24 hours. You can't do that.
Right.
You got to break somebody off, like let them
It's
get
a safety issue. Yeah.
Right. It's a little excessive now that they make you take a whole 10-hour break, but say sometimes guys need 10 hours off, and this is the only industry that's going to give you 10 hours off, and it's a full 10 hours off before you start driving again. So I think it's good, and it's very, very much needed. And then at a certain amount of time, you're only allowed to drive 70 hours throughout the week, and then you got to take a reset. So that's a quick breakdown for anybody that doesn't know the industry. So you could only drive roughly anywhere from 35 to 4,200 miles. And that's if everything works out perfectly and your company gets you from New Jersey to San Francisco and San Francisco to Florida or Atlanta back and forth within every week, which is not going to work out like that because trucks break down. Trucks have issues. Loads have issues. Loads aren't ready. Loads, you get there too early or you get there too late because of traffic. So now you have to wait to pick up. And sometimes, you don't get to drive as much. So when you don't get to drive as much, you're pissed off at the company because you're not making enough money. Or sometimes or companies don't want to give you the load from Kansas all the way to Maryland because there's a load from Kansas to St. Louis that's paying just as much to go to Maryland. So why would they want to go all the way to Maryland when they could save money in fuel to go to St. Louis? But you're thinking as a driver, I'm not making enough money. So what we're doing with Pick Six is not paying guys for the cents per mile that they drive, but for the time that they decide to stay out on the road. So the way we're breaking it down is it's kind of like, and the reason I call the company Pick Six Global Logistics is because the global logistics part is self-explanatory. That's eventually I want to have this company, working every part of logistics as possible, but I need to build my team to do so. The Pick Six part, if you're a big sports guy or a football guy, I was trying to find something to name the company that's a game changer, something that
shifts the momentum almost.
Exactly. And a lot of trucking companies are named after animals, somebody's last name, a brotherhood, like brother and brother, and, Highway Express or like somebody's name. I wanted something different, and I wanted a game-changing moment, and the Pick Six is just that. You watch a football game as a Patriots fan or a Tampa Bay fan, and I'm using the same team because of Brady himself. But whichever team has a Pick Six, that momentum shifts to that team right away. And that's what I want to do. I want to find every trucking company that's out there right now that's lollygagging and taking everything for granted, because you and I both seen it with every unit in the military. Every unit's not the same. So our unit, when we come into logistics, I want our guys to see how we do things differently from everybody else. And if anybody else is lollygagging out there and taking their loads for granted and taking their routes for granted, we're going to take it. We're going to take it, and we're going to take it to the house, and we're going to make that Pick Six. And we're going to change the whole game, because once we intercept you and once we take your work, somebody higher up, somebody in that OC or defensive coordinator position will be like, what the fuck just happened? Like somebody's going to be pissed off higher up, because you just got a Pick Six scored on you. And that's our goal, So what we want to do is have guys decide on their time. You decide on how long you want to go out. And for every week or whatever weeks you decide to go out, there's a pay scale set for that. So if you decide to go out for a month, you get paid a certain amount. If you decide to go out for 2 months, you get paid a certain amount. I'll break it down as a deployment for veterans. Different units do different deployments. And that's how I broke it down at first. Not different units, different branches. Air Force, I didn't know the Air Force did 3 months deployment. The Air Force does a lot of, you hear guys like, oh, I was in the service for 4 years. Oh, yeah, you deployed? Yeah, 6 times. Like, what? How do you deploy 6 times in 4 years? That's not even possible, And but that's the Air Force deployment. So you have an Air Force contract. Now the Air Force pays whatever your rank is. Now what I'm saying is you do an Air Force deployment, we call it something else, but you do 3 months, you make a certain amount of money. Now, if you do a Marine Corps deployment, which is 6 to 7 months, sometimes 8 months, depending on what that is, you get paid a little bit more. Now, the Army guys are nut jobs. I don't know how you do a year deployment. I would not have been able to do that, at all. But Army guys have a longer deployment, and we would pay a little bit more. But the military, everyone has different deployments, but everybody's making the same pay, which makes no sense. So I brought the military into trucking with a football mindset of, hey, you choose your contract. Because if you're a stud and you think you're a stud and you think you're Cam Newton, you think you're Tom Brady, you think you're Drew Brees, whoever you think you are, you tell me. You want to go out for a month? You want to go out for 2 months? You want to go out for a year? Sign your contract and I'll pay you your money if you think you're that guy. No experience, all the experience in the world. If you have no experience, we'll train you. I have guys that will train you. We'll do 6 weeks of a little mini camp. Same way as football, same way as boot camp. We'll do a mini camp, train you, and when you're ready, we'll send you out.
I love that.
And that's how we're breaking it down. You choose what kind of dog you want to be. If you want to be home every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, every month, that's on you. If you want to make more money and you don't have no reason to go home, you don't have a wife and kids, go make money.
And so is that compensation, is that based off a percentage of, I guess, the cumulative loads?
Well, no, because the thing is, if I'm paying guys a cent per mile, I have to have them going coast to coast to keep them happy.
Gotcha.
Now, if I pay them a base salary on what they choose or how much time, if you say, you call the company and say, hey, I'm going to go out for this amount of time. I know I have from this day to such a many days that I could use you as a truck driver. I'm going to get you home that day. The day you say you want to be home, you're going to be home that day, maybe earlier. Because from my experience of being on the road, the day I want to be home, I got plans that day. From the second I get there, it's the same thing as a deployment. Like, we're leaving February 3rd. Well, February 4th, I already got I even know what liquor I'm drinking. I know what I'm waking up and drinking that morning. So I respect the hard work and the time off. So if you tell them, what I want to do is, I don't want you to drive a lot. I don't want you to drive 4,000 miles a week from coast to coast. I want you to say, hey, I want to drive for a week. I say, all right, that week, I'm going to have you going from New Jersey to Maryland, back and forth. Because that's how I can make the most money from the company, booking all those loads, because the shorter run saves money on fuel, saves money on maintenance. The truck's not getting beat up as much. And then you're not working as hard as the guy going coast to coast and risking his life. They say safety is the most important thing in life, but when you pay somebody cents per mile, you think if rain or snow is going to stop you? We see trucks flipped over all the time on the road, and you're like, oh, what an idiot for driving, or why would he risk his life? Because he got his bills to pay. That's why. He's delayed because the week before that, 2 weeks before that, he wasn't making enough money. So now he has to keep going because this load's going all the way across country, and this little snowstorm is not going to risk his bills.
So not only are you making more, but it's a steadier income stream.
And it's safer. That's the most important part. It's safer for everyone. Because I've driven those night shifts, those morning shifts. Waking up at 2 a.m. and giving those motivational stories I'm telling you about. It sounds good. But, man, is it hard to boost yourself and pound a thing of coffee like this and keep going because you're tired, man. You're tired. So I always say, make it easier for the next guy. I don't want guys to have to drive as many miles as I did or as many miles as the average truck driver drives, because a person will tell you, like, as a truck driver, you drive 9,000 to 12,000 miles a month. And that's nuts. I don't expect everybody to have that in them because it's not normal. It shouldn't be normal.
So the other thing we were talking about offline was sort of your plan and vision for the future as far as your growth. Can you talk about that a little bit and sort of lay that out?
What you mean, like for how we're going to have the trucks per driver?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is that every driver, eventually I want to have a unit or a shop in every city in America, from the Albuquerques of the United States to the northern part of Maine to your biggest cities all across America. Because when you grow up in an urban area and your big cities, you think the whole country is built off LA, New York, Miami, Boston, Chicago, the big names, San Fran. But when you realize when you drive 10 hours and you haven't seen none of these big cities, you're like, there's a lot of these small towns in America that are a lot more than the big name cities. So you realize that we have to start setting up shops in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, in Louisiana, the northern parts of Louisiana, Oregon. You know, there's little towns all over the country that aren't really as popular as everywhere else, but we got workers, we got dogs out there too that are getting it. So once we could grow and build and have shops everywhere, I want Pick Six to be so common as like Uber. And that's a horrible analogy to use because everyone compares their companies to Uber and their ideas to Uber. You know, like, oh, I want to do this and it's going to be Uber. Yeah, whatever. But I really want it to be that simple that if everyone has a CDL, if everyone could get a CDL, especially right now, imagine what Pick Six could have done to the industry if we would have been set up everywhere else, everywhere in the country, and every job would have stopped in America. And everyone had a CDL, or 50% of America, that's 150 million people in America have a CDL, and they lose their job. But you know how to drive a truck. What I want to do is have a station in every city that you could say, okay, I'm gonna go, not rent it out because you're not paying for anything. I'm gonna sign up and I'm gonna take this truck for this long contract, this Air Force contract, or what I call is a Cat 1 contract. Cat 1 contract is a 3-week contract that you decide to go out, or a Cat 4, or a Cat 2 or 3, 4, whatever the category is a certain amount of weeks, and you decide how long I'm going to go out for. And then we have you moving loads and bring you back home at that time, whatever that amount of week is, we bring you home at that time. And then it's by the time you come home, that truck is already planned out for the next driver that's already gone online or their phones and booked that truck to go out for the next couple of weeks. So by the time we bring you home, we maintenance the truck, clean everything out, have somebody else get in there and get back on the road. So we don't need 1,000 trucks. If we could do 100 trucks in every city, we just keep those trucks going. But also think about how much work is getting done throughout the country. If you're working a 9 to 5 or you're working some other job and you lose that job, or another pandemic happens, I got this job over here that I'm gonna just book myself a couple weeks. I'm gonna be able to stand on my feet and keep it going, because it was medical workers, police, and truck drivers that were essential workers.
Yeah, well, everybody needs their products and their food and whatever household goods they need as essential things, and you know, the logistics supply chains are massively important, especially as people look at the toilet paper thing. It is a joke, but it's not. Yeah.
First month, I did so many toilet paper rolls that I was like, I called my girlfriend. I said, "Don't worry. If anything goes crazy, I got a whole trailer full right now. Like, we got toilet paper for days, you know." And we were moving toilet paper nonstop. And it's funny, but you know, it'll probably be in a textbook 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, 100 years from now about how important toilet paper was. But we were moving, man, and it was scary for not just our industry, but to see so many people, to see the roads empty was one of the scariest things. To drive through Southern California and not have any traffic during rush hour, it was a scary, scary sight, man. That even if the rates were going so high, it had me thinking, like, this isn't gonna last. We're not gonna have a country to supply. If we don't get back to some sort of norm, what will be norm? So I don't ever want this to happen again, but I want people to be able to make logistics and trucking a simplicity that I got my license, I'm gonna go drive this truck real quick. And it's also a way of opening up. You become an entrepreneur within yourself, that once you learn how to drive a truck, you get control of your life, and that is an entrepreneur. Once you control your life, you control your schedule. And once you control your schedule, you're free. And I think that's what a lot of us learned during this pandemic was you don't need an office. You don't need to be in and going over to this building to clock in. You do your work from home, and how important time off really was. We never got to really enjoy Monday through Friday on our own. A lot of us had a hard time being home during the weekdays.
Yeah, well, I think that's the great thing about your idea is it promotes a good work-life balance. Plus, the pay is really good, and so you could do, 3 months on, 2 months off, or whatever it is, depending on obviously the numbers. But like, you're not stuck to that cents per mile. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest paradigm shift in what it is that you're doing. I mean, you're in control of your time and you're in control of your money, and you know what you're going to make, and you can plan accordingly.
Absolutely.
So if you have a family, you're not stuck on the road for, I don't know, whatever,
At least you have control of how long you're going
right.
to be.
You're dictating the situation, and you can sort of plan accordingly. And so, like, I'm sure the current truck drivers that are out right now under the traditional model, it's probably a lot harder for them to sustain a steady paycheck because of all the different variables that you had mentioned. And then B, it's extremely difficult to maintain a work-life balance. If you've got kids, you want to be home to see your kids, it just promotes a better environment for an individual to thrive. And like you said, you can almost, and maybe you can find a way to structure a deal where they can become entrepreneurs themselves under the guise of Pick Six,
Absolutely. The whole leasing, that's the leasing process. You choose a truck, we'll get a truck for you, but that's when you're ready. That's when you understand the industry and you got to be out. You're taking control. You're controlling your schedule at this point 100%, because once you take the decision, or once you make the decision on taking the financial burden of controlling a truck, now it's your truck.
Right.
Once that truck is sitting, there's payments that need to be made. And that's the whole point of what Pick Six wants to do, is that you don't have any responsibilities on the truck.
There's a low barrier to entry. Yeah.
Exactly. Just drive it, drop it off, and we'll take care of the rest. Enjoy your time off. I want to make it seem as soon as you get off that runway, off a deployment, you hug your family and you're done. You don't got to do a course. You don't got to go to check in your gear. Like, just drop it off right there. It's all done. I know how important it is to hug somebody after not seeing them for months. Don't worry about anything else. Just go home. One of the hardest parts about being in the military once after deployment is being on base for a month before you get to go home.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just let me go. I want to go home. I don't hear anything you're saying to me right now. And I know what that feels like, because that's what trucking is like too. Because when you're on the road driving for a company that tells you you have to go out for this much time, and telling you once you go home, you only have this much, 2-3 days at home, and then you have to come back. When somebody tells you have to do something, it's just a bad taste in your mouth.
It's an uneasy feeling.
It is an uneasy feeling, and it is not right, man. You shouldn't tell somebody or control somebody on their schedule because you're giving them an opportunity. I'd rather give somebody an opportunity and have them control their time, because this industry is so massive. And as long as we have so many people within it, and that's another thing. This industry is so understaffed right now. They need so many drivers, and a lot of people don't know this. And maybe, this podcast can help out with just the veterans, but it needs to be known worldwide or through this country that we're at a low point for truck drivers, because I'm a young guy in this industry and I'm only 31 and I'm a pup. These guys see me out here like, oh, you just started. You don't know nothing. 5 years. There's guys that are 40, 50-year-old plus, and then there's a huge gap from 30 to 50, and you don't see that many drivers in this industry. A 20-year-old, good luck seeing a 20-year-old in there. You see a 20-year-old in this industry, and you're like, hey, buddy, how you been? You're listening to some modern-day music or something. You can relate to that guy, but you don't see them that much. And it's not as common as, your 40, 50, 60-year-old guy. And usually those guys get into this industry, like I said, because something happened in life that they have to make this sacrifice in the middle of their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I can't say enough about you, the idea, and what it is that you're doing. I mean, it really is awesome. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find and reach you at?
Well, you could look us up at on Instagram, which is PSGL, on social media on Instagram, and the website is pick6gl.com. And right now we're just having an application website. So you sign on, leave your email, drop off your resume, and I'll get back to you, or one of our guys will get back to you as soon as possible, as soon as we get your information. And we can even train guys as soon as we get your application. We'll work on your schedule. And if you have experience, if you don't have experience, we'll train you. And we're also working on starting our own CDL school. And you and I spoke about how flight school and truck driving is, just as big as machinery, but one school is 90 days long and the other is 6 weeks long. And I want to start a CDL Academy, which is going to be like a 90-day program that guys go through a university or some sort of schooling. And maybe it's not 90 days for everything, but 90 days for trucking and brokering and dispatching. You learn the whole
business,
of truck driving and logistics. And that way, when you get on the road, you're not understanding just one dynamic of it, but okay, I got to wait until this guy calls me for the load because I know what he's doing. I understand that he's calling up 100 other companies to find me the load around here. And you're not arguing with your dispatcher. You're not mad about your broker. You understand the entire industry. And the reason I want to do that is because if I could train everybody to understand the industry, put you in pick six, then I want you in my office too. I need those dogs. We need those dogs in here. So if we get veterans or anybody that just wants to change their life, I'm all about it. But we got to have that fire. Everyone has to have that fire.
Love it, man. You got the fire. You're spreading the fire to me, man. It's motivating. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we're going to have you back. And for everyone who's watching and listening, like, keep your eye out. We're going to keep rolling this out. Me and Stephan are going to be working together real close to bring this out to you and really push this throughout the veteran community. So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Scott. And also, I want to be a part of this and just to give out motivation to anybody that's struggling through their ideas or their journey. I know you had guys, starting off with their own company. Everybody has a different story. If we could just push everyone else to continue and make it day by day, that's why I say just day by day, man. Take it day by day. You can make a difference in this world. And that's all I want to do. Yeah,
man. We all rise up together. So we need to do a better job of supporting each other as veterans and maintaining and bringing up our veteran community. So thanks, man. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, brother.
Later, dude.